he finally made an appointment. They started to correspond through letters and whatnot, and he finally was able to link up with Crowley. And since Crowley didn't have any money at the time, Crowley wasn't able to pay him, but he was able to become his like assistant. And he actually paid him in magical instruction. So like he taught him how to do magic. And basically he continued where he left off. He started to push the envelope, as he says. And basically it's from him where we get a majority of this information about the Qliphoth and the tunnels of Set and things like that. And a lot of that information is still roughly gate kept for various reasons. But he's really a major source of where we get a lot of Qliphoth and dark side Kabbalah information from. So like, since I heard of him back in like 2014, I always wanted to get a copy of his books, and they've always been like over $100. Finally, I'm at the point where I'm able to work with that stuff. And I started doing some research. Lo and behold, it all goes back to the Vedic information, because this fellow, after Crowley, went to become a direct disciple of a guru, Sri Ramana Maharishi. Go figure, huh? Go freaking figure. So yes, even the Qliphoth has ties to yoga and tantra. So what I've been doing is studying the paths of the tree and the tunnels of Set simultaneously, because in most of the Kabbalistic work we get from, like, say, what's his name? William Gray, and also Gareth Knight, they like to break down the aspects of the tree in 4 different levels, according to the 4 worlds. But as I've been saying with these patterns, there's all relations, right? All the 3s are going to point to the 3 gunas. All the 4s are going to relate to the 4 elements. But anytime you see 4, there's a hidden 5th. Every time. Akasha. So in this case, these 4 worlds have a hidden 5th, which is the Qliphoth. So in order to really grasp a comprehensive perspective on what these paths mean, or what these spheres of the Kabbalah mean, it would also help to understand the soil, which is the Qliphotic aspect. The 32nd path is quite important. This is the path of magic. And before, I thought I was going to maybe read 1 path a week, but magic doesn't really go on a schedule. I mean, it does, but not our schedule. So you notice this card has 4 creatures on it in the 4 corners of the earth, and they're all looking inward towards the operator. A big part of this has to do with, because we talked before about how she has those wands and she's controlling and manipulating the forces of nature. But we also have to understand that these 4 creatures also represent the 4 worlds and the 4 levels of influence on the material plane. So it can be said that God is looking at us through 4 different pairs of eyes. Especially with Kabbalah, we know we've got the 4 worlds: Atziluth, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asaya. That's what these 4 creatures also represent. They're all looking at the observer from those 4 angles. So at no point are you doing anything separate. You don't do something physical and it doesn't have a correlation on the astral plane, mental plane, and spiritual plane. Like, when you do something, it's connected to all planes. As a matter of fact, anything that happens on the earth plane, that's the final plane to respond. In other words, the motion has already taken place on the astral and the mental and the spiritual. So God can be said to be looking at us from 4 different pairs of eyes from the 4 worlds. And it is said that the 4 different pairs of eyes that God is looking at us through could be through the eyes of the universe at large, right? God looking at us from the macrocosm, maybe as a tiny speck of sand or the brightest diamond in the galaxy amidst an asteroid belt. The next pair of eyes that God is looking at us through, because it's all reflections, the next pair of eyes that God is looking at us through is the eyes of the sun. Now, just like our minds are too tiny to grasp the totality of the cosmos, our eyes are too sensitive to be able to look into the sun. And since our eyes are too sensitive to look into the sun, when we try to look back into this pair of eyes, it may cause pain and there's a lot of fear. People say that you may go blind, right? Yet some people sun gaze all the time. My grandfather used to sun gaze daily for decades. But this pair of eyes doesn't look at us individually, really. It looks at us as a collective. The third pair of eyes that God looks at us through is through the eyes of the moon. And it's through this pair of eyes that we're actually able to have a closer connection to the inward and the outward flow. From the moon, we learn about the different phases of the universe. We learn about the different phases of ourself, and we learn how to reflect divinity, because the moon reflects the sun, and the sun reflects the cosmos. We are reflections of the moon, especially women, not just because they have periods, but we talked earlier about the transient nature, so to speak. And then finally, the last pair of eyes that God looks at us through is through the eyes of the earth itself, through all the little creatures, the ants, the cockroaches, the spiders, the dogs, the cats, and our fellow people, the trees, the rocks, the elementals. Collectively, all those are the eyes of God looking back at us. And it's those pairs of eyes that we have direct contact with. What's really cool about this is those cards that I showed are all the cards that are related to the paths on the lower end of the tree, from Malkuth to Yesod to Had to Netzach. Those are the lower paths. This one path is very, very deep. You'll see the universe card, the moon card, the star card, and the sun card. All of those relate to Yesod. And all those have a very real influence on our personal connection with the divine. All this is extremely abstract and metaphorical, but if you can find a way to work with it, you will find some keys that open up doors that probably have not been opened in a very long time. Keys like you gotta use 2 hands to turn. Those kind of keys. That's my TED Talks. Hope you'll have a good night. Is this thing on? Alright, well, since everybody's on the same page, I guess I'll keep going. So, from Malkuth to the 3 spheres that touch Malkuth, which are Yesod, Had, and Netzach, the paths that connect those 4 spheres, 4 spheres, all deal with being able to grasp spiritual things and turn them into earthly things. Now, the path of the universe is the most direct and the most profound, I would say, because it's everything mashed into one tube. Now, here's the thing: the 30-second path doesn't just connect you to the moon. The 30-second path is the gateway to every other dimension. Now, what that means is what I talked about in the inner light activation system, in saying that the etheric plane is how you interact with the other planes. But the other paths, like the ones connecting Malkuth to Had and Malkuth to Netzach, those both deal with being able to utilize the powers of the etheric plane by turning astral and mental concepts into physical symbolic representations, which is the essence of sorcery and magic, taking something physical and linking it with an astral influence, right? To be able to do that is to be able to harness the powers of those paths. We'll find that the Goetic spirits and the 72 angels of the Shenhai Mepharash are related to the sphere of Had, Mercury. So that path of judgment, one of the skills that has to be mastered is being able to be a Pokemon trainer and catch an essence and assign it into a form. Many ways to do this. Some people use crystals, some people use sigils and tarot cards, some people use little unicorns. There's all kind of ways to do this, and we do it all the time. We all do it all the time. It's not special. It is special, but it's not unique. We all do this all the time. It's just most of us don't understand what we're doing. Even animals do it. But to be able to track your progress and see that you are harnessing the power above and bringing it down below by using one of your various symbols, that's the art and practice of magic. To do this effectively, you've got to be able to have the endurance of the ox, because the material plane endureth forever. The plane of Asaya will never go anywhere. It's eternal. And it also endures because it changes every moment of its existence. That's its enduring. What do they say? The only thing constant in the universe is change. That's the power of the bull. Then we've got the lion, and we talk about courage. We talk about boldness. This is non-attachment. Being able to push forward regardless of any type of consequence. To move. This is the fire aspect. This eagle represents discernment, because the eagle flies above the earth and it's looking down, and it doesn't just see a bunch of it doesn't just see a lump of green. It can spot a mouse or a little tiny dog and swoop down, scoop it up, drop it again to break its bones and have it for dinner. But it takes discernment to be able to pick out motion from such a far distance. Then of course we've got the man, which represents our ability to use our imagination and our intellect to be able to decipher and break this information down and use it on purpose. So all those four together make the power of God. And that's what's being wielded by the androgynous figure in the center. That's the power of the 32nd path. To be able to use all the powers of the tree correctly and in harmony. That was part 2 of my TED Talks.
Hey, Trav.
Hey, Laura.
Hey. I got a question for you when you're saying to channel things from the spiritual into the earthly. You mentioned that everything we do is essentially that. And I guess my question is, does it necessarily, when you say doing it correctly, do you mean doing something with intention versus, or consciously versus unconsciously?
When it comes to magic, we're dealing with the 7 hermetic principles, and one of them is cause and effect. And every cause has an effect. Is your effect what you intended to cause? So yeah, did I set out to do something and did I get that? Or did I get something completely different and completely unrelated, and now I'm off on some side tangent, and then I do a different cause and that puts me on another side tangent, and I look back and I realize I've been on an interesting journey, but none of it makes sense.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
am I saying I want to go from point A to point B? Then you get to point B and you say, okay, that made sense. Now let me go to point C, and you get to point C. Okay, that made sense, and you continue. I think that would be the correct way.
Okay. So basically finding something that works in harmony with the pattern or the frame that you're trying to achieve.
Yes.
Yeah. That connects you with because what we're talking about is being able to define, or not define, but being able to work in harmony with the original impulse and identify how it's expressing itself in this material realm, and then being able to ground it so then we can harmonize ourselves with its current.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because anybody can light a match and throw it and cause a forest fire or a house fire or just burn some shit up. Anybody can do that. But it takes a little bit of skill and precision to be able to, I don't know, light a blowtorch and be able to weld a door back onto a car, right? We're dealing with the same element, but one is just haphazard and one is focused. Reminds me of 2 paths on the tree. So yeah, you can do magic. You can also do it with precision. You could also just wing it, throw some shit on the wall and hope it sticks. Hell, I still do that sometimes.
Yeah, I'm trying to train myself out of doing that. That's a natural pattern that takes place pretty frequently.
Yeah. But think about when you first started training and what you do. You know, you had an inspiration that said, you know what, I want to step onto that mat. I want to gear up and I want to do it. How were you when you first went out there?
Pretty bad. I mean, it was it was wild. It was very uncontrolled.
Did you think you had some stuff figured out, but you later learned you didn't have it figured out at all?
Yes. Yep.
I bet now. I bet now you've got a form, you've got consistency. I bet now you have ingrained habits that save you a lot of, that help you avoid a lot of trouble, right? I bet there's a certain way that you could throw your body that doesn't cause harm to yourself that you had to learn. Is that right?
Yes.
But anybody can step into that ring. Hell, I could step into the ring. Now, will I step out with unharmed and unscathed? Probably not.
And the expression of it too, or the way how, so once there is more control and more knowledge, the expression or the way how you as an individual are perceived is also changed. It's kind of like when you change the general patterns into, and then that affects the whole picture there on the personal front. I find that's kind of the same thing. Like before, when I was super uncontrolled, people would say like, yeah, you haven't developed your style yet. We don't know what kind of fighter you're going to be. We don't know what your style is. Now there is a name to the style, even though I may not, even though consciously I'm just working on my fundamentals, because it's more controlled, the expression has changed. And therefore, the perception of myself as an individual has changed in my environment.
It's almost as if a lot has changed, yet nothing has changed. Or maybe a better way to say that is what we talked about on this call before we went on live stream, was that there's only so many things that you can touch on in this science. It's not about learning more stuff. We go around in spirals and spirals, learning the same things but at a higher octave. We continue dancing and zigzagging and ping-ponging around these three pillars, just learning the same stuff at a deeper level.
Yeah. There's all of these. If we can understand our fundamentals and continue to work with the fundamentals, the way how those are expressed, especially in the material realm, are going to change our entire lives. Like we don't have to jump from one project to another. All we have to do is just work on bringing all this information. And I just understanding the fundamentals of it, I think. Like with Kabbalah, I'm probably going to be studying this for probably the next like 20 years of my life. And I could work from this one book. I could read a million other books on it, but there's some specific information that's going to continue to be repeated that I need to get down, because those are the fundamentals.
Yes. And what I'm seeing now is that, okay, the 10 spheres, that's perfect. But those 22 paths, I see that those are filling in a lot of gaps. Because once you know the fundamentals of each of the Sephirah, right, you know its general influence, you know what type of, let's say, for example, what the archangel of the sphere represents and its influence in the cosmos. When you're dealing with the past, now we're dealing with a relationship, because the tree is all about patterns, relationships, and patterns of relationships. We start to see that now the relationships come into importance. For example, the 30-second path, one way to break this stuff down is this isn't about reading a bunch of books and memorizing it. It's about learning what the symbols mean and playing with them, right? If you learn what addition is, that's the context. You can fill the content with anything. You can add 3 plus 4, 10 plus 22, doesn't matter. But what we learn with this path is that we're adding Gabriel and Sandalphon. Gabriel deals with giving us, or giving anything, a body to exist in the material plane with. Sandalphon deals with connecting the lower organism with the higher spirit. So what do you get when you put those two together? You got two geniuses of taking something abstract and connecting it with something concrete. Synthesis.
Would you say that synthesis is another form of correspondence?
Yes. Yes, I would. Because in that synthesis, you're going to see a new type of correspondence. You know what? Let me think about that. Maybe not so much correspondence as much as polarity. The law of polarity. That might be a more accurate relation. To understand the paths, we have to employ the law of polarity.
right when you said it, I was gonna say the greater understanding of the context you have, the more you're able to do with the content. The content you can not make up at will, but the content you can use anything to to
Yeah.
symbolize or fill in that space if you know what that context is about. It makes it easier.
Yes. 1,000 times easier. And that's why we're given these symbols to understand the different aspects of the tree. We're given the archangel. We're given the angelic group, right? So as we get deeper with the science, you start to see how much of it's a mistake. It's a trap. It's a dead end to sit here and believe that, oh, there's like millions of angel people floating around with wings, and they might show up on the earth plane, and like in the movies. It's a mistake to think of it that way because you're missing the point. But if you understand that these are symbols of concepts, now you can work with them properly. And as you said, well, you can change the content to whatever is necessary at the time.
Yeah, at one point it might have been people with wings, and then at one point it might have been numbers, like matrix numbers, how the ones and zeros, data. And you might have asked me last week, it could have been energy. And right
Mm-hmm.
now I can say that, hey, it's the behavior of a
Mm-hmm.
carried expression of frequency. You know what I'm saying? And that goes with the studying and the research. You know what I'm saying? I love it when it hold on one second. Behavior to carry the expression of frequency. So yeah, when you have a frequency or a pattern, it's gonna come with certain things. When you think of a serial killer or Chucky or Jason, one of the attributes is blood. Another one might be night. It might be the woods
Yeah.
at nighttime or some scary place. These are the side effects of what's coming with that context. And the deeper you are with that context, sorry, I'm using murdering right now, but the deeper you are with the context of a murderer, the more graphic or more astounding your murderous story would be. You know what I'm saying? You might not have to use a gun. You can use a toothpick now because you're so keen to the context of thrillers, example.
Yes. Awesome. And you want to know something? Don't even be sorry that you're using killers, because that's a part of the tree too. When we look at Gibera, there is a time where certain things have to be removed from the equation. And not even removed, just removed from this particular mode of expression. Me and my friend last night were having a conversation about Dahmer. I didn't watch the show, nor am I going to watch the show. I don't care. But right now, everybody's all excited. Oh my God, it's a TV show about stuff that's been around forever. Back in my day, I used to be obsessed with serial killers. I read all the novels. I knew all of them by heart. I knew the body count. I knew all that stuff. But as me and my friend were talking about this show, not the show, but just the concept of a serial killer, and how everyone's like, oh, that person's bad, they should go to hell, throw them under the jail. It's a real hard pill to swallow to understand that they are a karmic force that has manifested on the earth. And if it wasn't necessary, it wouldn't have manifested. I know some people will get triggered by that kind of thought process, but when it comes to cosmic principles, you can't just take what's convenient and leave it when it's uncomfortable. I was looking at the article yesterday, and it said that the LGBTQ community is upset with Netflix because they categorized the Dahmer show as LGBTQ. But I mean, he was gay, so technically. But that's an example. You can't just take stuff because it feels good and then leave it when it feels bad. The aspect of a serial killer definitely represents the Gibera force. And of course, from the perspective of this incarnation, oh, that person was innocent, they didn't deserve that. But see, no one can see past you saw out of the 30-second path. We don't know what kind of karma those individuals were carrying. Oh, now Trav's victim blaming. No. What I'm saying is that life and energy exists as a story that we only see a small piece of. We don't know the karma of those people. But what I do know is the universe doesn't make mistakes. Let me see how many viewers left my stream because of that.
So would you say then that we attach our ideas of good and bad to the expression of these frequencies? Because when we speak about karma, we're talking about causes and effects. But causes and effects only occur when a frequency is being expressed in its various forms, if I have that correct. So in the case of, say, a serial killer, for example, that could be from the same frequency as a familial tie, or it would be of a frequency that might be expressed in a completely different polarity, yet we label one as good or one as bad.
By the way, familial ties definitely relates to Yasad, so that would be on the 32nd path as well.
What's going
We'll get
on
into
there,
that a little bit later. What's going on, Stuffed Up?
Not much, man. I had to jump in here when you was talking about things being removed from the board, man. It's like, I think that's my place, because I kind of got rid of the compassion in that area. I won't say got rid of it, but I understand cannibalism and cannibalism. You know what I'm saying? I understand building up and breaking down, man. And it looks bad to some people when they have a certain perspective, like maybe when it happens to a child or something like that. But like you said, man, you can't pick and choose where you're going to apply these principles. They're cosmic. So
Right.
you can't do it. You know what I'm saying? So you have to build yourself in accordance to be able to look at it and call it what it is. It's just an act of whatever you want to call the higher forces. Things being broken down to become something else. I had a God tier fly in my house today, in my garage. The son bitch is God tier. Like I slapped him with the electronic fly swatter 5 times. And he just got up. And I'm like, yo, this is a God fly in my house, yo. But I gotta kill him because he got a lot of juice. And I recognized him on my level. He's on my level. So when I get him, I can use his juice for whatever I want. But this son bitch is powerful. But it's just a recognition of everything on every single level is an expression of the entire spectrum. And so you're gonna have dumb flies that get ate by the spider, and you're gonna have God tier flies that you can't fucking kill with 10 fly swatters. It's just that, right? Am I wrong in saying this?
No, you're actually talking about one of these paths, man. You're talking about one of these paths. Being able to recognize the energy behind a certain form.
Right. Like, because everything ain't the same thing. It is, but it's spread out across, I guess, the spectrum. You know what I'm saying? So one thing is gonna be you're gonna have the lion that's got the real big mane. He got a bunch of doggone lionesses, and then you're gonna have the son bitch that ain't got no mane at all, and he ain't got no women. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a scale, it's a spectrum, and you can't be sad when you're looking at one end as opposed to the other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Recently had that same conversation with my son. There's an orb weaver spider on the side of my house. And I told my son, there's a lot of grasshoppers in the yard. And I told my son to get one and throw him in there so he can watch the orb weaver spit him up. And so my son did it. And he was like, wow, Dad, it was crazy. You know, the orb weaver went crazy on the little grasshopper. And so my son came upstairs later on and he was like, I'm gonna do that every day just to watch it. And I was like, well, that's cool, but you have to understand that there are cosmic forces at play out there. I said, if the grasshopper is able to see the spider and avoid it, that was his karma to go on because he is a strong grasshopper. And he's going on to make stronger grasshoppers. But the one that fly in the net is supposed to get ate by. He's grasshopper grass for the goddamn spider. And so my son, you know, because I told him that if he did that every day, he would be kind of getting into the karma of the grasshoppers. And he started tearing up. And I said, don't feel bad for the grasshopper, because the grasshopper eats the grass. And you don't feel bad for the grass when you out there running around on it. So don't feel bad for the grasshopper. Just understand that there is a course that things take. And if you do it one time, you're in the course of things. But if you do it every time, you might be getting in the way. And so that's what I was wanting to just, you know, kind of convey to him, as far as, you know, because, you know, as far as that understanding of, you know, the way things, it's a cycle, you know, it's a cycle, you know, and we're a part of it, you know. So, I mean, I didn't want to get on here and just talk like that. I'm sorry.
To do it one time, you're in the cycle. But to do it every time, you might be getting in the way.
I don't know, man. A cosmic force. We are cosmic forces. You know what I'm saying? Like us walking around out in the yard. I mean, we're not thinking about all of the bugs that we're stepping on, you know, but you're a cause out there. You know what I'm saying? And those things are feeling the effects.
Right.
And it's on every single level, you know, every level. God damn, man.
Damn, man, I never looked at it that way, bro. That was some deep shit you just said.
Yes.
That was deep as fuck. Sounds simple, but it was deep as fuck.
Oh shit, man. I'm just trying to figure it out, man. Like all of us, man. But you know, some things just speak out to me louder than others. You know what I'm saying? And nature is the teacher. I mean, that lesson came from nature, an orb weaver spider. You know what I mean? So it was. I mean, it's cool, man. It's the lessons are all around if you know how to look.
Always. What was that, Will?
Oh, I said, and if you're in the state to see, I've looked over some of my blessings, not even being mean or mad or something about that, you know, and then looking at the same exact thing in a later, happier state and saying, whoa, these coincide with what's going on. So, yeah.
To be in the state to be able to see it. This is why the first step on the path is discernment. And even before you step onto the tree, one of the first skills you have to start working on is mind control. Control of your own mind. Because if you can't control your own states, you have no business messing with none of this. If you have no degree of control over your own states, you'll only be a vessel for something beyond your control.
Wow.
I think you mentioned that before, Trav, when you were talking about when you express a behavior, right, which is really a series of different patterns, then you become a host to the cause of that behavior.
Yeah.
So like Steph said with the grasshopper, it's like if you do that every day, you're repeating that pattern, you're becoming a host for that specific cause.
Yes. And check that out now. So you do that every day, you're becoming a host of that specific cause. Now, what you said earlier was about intent, right? If there is no intent, you're just out here throwing punches and kicks in the ring, right? Being used by an impulse that you can't even really describe. You don't even know why you're doing it, other than, I guess, in your son's case, stuff, curiosity. But working from the level of self-control, right? Wanting to go from point A to point B, then to point C, then point D, means that you're doing this for a reason. Like you're specifically doing this for a reason. Now you can use that pattern and that frequency to take you somewhere. So, in the case where all this came from was the killer, right? Jeffrey Dahmer or whoever. Most of them aren't killing with an intent. They're following some inner impulse that they cannot resist, or they're powerless against. They're literally being used as a vessel of some force that they cannot comprehend. Yet, the US government sends its killers to do a certain job, and they get the job done. Not even the US government. Folks up the block send their people to do a certain job. It's much different than, say, a Jeffrey Dahmer or a Ted Bundy. Am I right or wrong?
100% right. They got a direction for where they send in that energy. It has a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just like, you're not just busting nuts all over the place. You know, you trying to shoot on that tat-ass. You trying to shoot on that ass.
Right.
So yeah, man. Yeah, 100%, right? 100%.
That's the difference. Anybody can work magic. Just like anybody can kill another man or woman. Or just like anybody can spend some money. But what's the intent?
They even got words for it, right? Like you got murder, and then you got different, like there's different degrees of murder. So
manslaughter.
Yeah, so that's even talking about intent right there. You know, all of those things are talking about the intent, and one of them is less than the other. All the way up to self-defense. You still taking the life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You still taking the life, but it's considered something totally different.
And look at the lawyer. Look at the lawyer. A good lawyer can reframe a situation regardless of what the perceived content is.
Ooh, I like that, Trey.
There's a book called Reptile. They don't want people to have it. Matter of fact, you have to have passed the bar exam to buy this book. I've been hunting for that book for a long time. If anybody finds it, I'll buy it from you.
Oh man, that's my thing, bro. Finding lost books.
It's by a guy named Ball. Basically, it's how you win a court case because you appeal to the reptile brain. Ooh, I'm not supposed to say that on the live stream.
What Ball? What's the first name? Trey? Ball what?
It's been a while since I looked for it. I'll have to look it up. It's called Reptile, though. They don't care about the money. You have to have passed the bar exam to buy that book.
Man, I love trying to find books that can't be. Man, I got so many books that I didn't found that can't be found. It's like my thing.
If you guys do find any information, please just post it in the chat.
Oh, definitely.
As opposed to vocalizing.
Loose lips sink ship. But yeah, everything is about what you want to what you want to do with it. I mean, that's what life is about, right? Like the relationships that you have with certain things, how things make you feel, you know, or vice versa. You know what I mean? How they make you feel good, how they make you feel bad, and that's a relationship with everything. I got a theory about serial killers, man. I don't think serial killers come from the natural flow of things. I think they were all CIA.
Ah.
Yeah, I think they were all CIA, like, because they gave us those movies back in the day, Manchurian Candidate and all of those things. And I think all of those people were activated at a specific time to bring about a specific, it's almost like a test, you know what I mean? Like they test to see what the response will be, you know, throwing fear in there, throwing the wrench in the system. And so I think all of them son bitches were CIA agents, man. But that's my own crazy ass opinion, though.
I don't think it would be far-fetched. I've seen some documentaries about Manchurian candidate type experiments and just how easy it is to have someone do something like that. Not only have someone do something like that, but to cover your tracks so that they don't even realize what they were doing.
Man,
Yeah.
it was.
Hold on now. Before you start, Allura.
Oh, you know already.
Before you start, there's children on this live stream.
All right.
Was she finna talk about vagal-vagal?
No.
Oh,
I was gonna talk about hypnotism, but maybe I'll leave it alone.
If you can talk about it discreetly, Allura, then that would be okay. Just you know.
Think about it.
Children on the live stream.
I'll say this. That whole idea of maintaining your frame and being able to influence others, it has been shown to be very effective, especially in having someone believe that they did something for a reason that they don't even really believe.
Yeah.
Is that like the Stanford experiments?
No, I wasn't referencing that. Although that could be. I mean, it could be. I don't think there's like one isolated incident, but I'm thinking of an isolated incident where that occurred. Well, I'm being discreet, so.
I appreciate your discretion.
Gotcha.
Gonna leave it at that, though. State control is real important.
Gotcha.
My brother last night was talking to me. He's getting back into like Gundam, and he was just telling me about the war that they had. And there's some people who are all about the Earth, and there's some people who are so. Peace, Andy. There's some people who are like so vested in their inner cause that, you know, they'll die for their cause. Just like, you know, a so-called terrorist or Taliban or whatever. And we were just talking about how, no. Yeah, I was talking with someone else about that. And also, what's the word? Okay, so there's a thing that's the fighting spirit. There's this free will, and this is a spark. This is the spark that came down from what we call Kether, across the abyss, all the way down to Malkuth. And that spark on its way down has built experiences and a personality and eventually a physical body. And it is that undying spark that will eventually return to its source. Now, that spark is manifested in all living organisms to varying degrees, some to the point where it almost seems non-existent. And what happens with those is that when the test and the tribulation and the fire overtakes those sparks, they can be seen to be destroyed, right? In other words, if you have what it takes, eventually you'll make it through. If you don't have what it takes, you'll be consumed by that flame and redistributed. So we were talking about how people who die for causes and people who start causes, some people are followers, some people are leaders, and those leaders have this bright spark that other people can see. And when it comes to followers, these are people who may not have that spark, but they can believe in somebody else's spark so hard that they might as well have it themselves, because they'll go to the end of the earth. Let's look at the Sith, right? Darth Maul had lost everything, but he believed in his master so much that he was able to take on some pretty challenging challenges. Same with Vader, or any other person who believes in a cause so much that they'll kill themselves for it. But then you have people who don't believe in themselves or don't have anyone to believe in, and they're destined for the fire that extinguishes. Simply because when they hit that abyss, they're going to dissolve. Why did I say all that? Because now when we get back to what we were just talking about as far as this mind control and Manchurian candidate stuff, we're basically dealing with somebody having a foreign spark implanted into them for someone else's purpose. Sheesh.
Sure. Religion.
Black magic.
Sure.
And this happens all the time. So your theory may actually be closer to the truth than we might imagine.
But is that bad though? Like, because you're being sacrificed for the cause. You know, your energy is being broken down and redistributed as the cause because you've taken it on. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you have
Yes.
become the cause. So is that a bad thing that you literally became the cause? Like, you died and your energy was used to become the cause. That's
Right.
what you did in body, and that's what you will do out of body, right?
Because look, the person did, or the individual did not have that spark themselves. That's why they fell into whatever organization it was, right? And by embodying that spark, by being, they have something to die for. That's transformative on a spiritual level. At the top of the chain, it doesn't matter about good or evil. Those things don't exist. What matters is the context. Were you able to hold a spirit that was greater than your physical self? In the Kabbalistic, a practical guide to Kabbalistic symbolism, when he was talking about that 29th path, he was talking about that night of the round table. And he was talking about how that path between Malkuth and Netzach, one of the principles that's mastered is overcoming that animal instinct and realizing a higher call, right? Remember when he was, basically the story was that knight went up against this giant. And the deal was, if he beheads the giant and the giant survives, the giant gets to behead him. So he cut the giant's head off and he's like, yeah, I'm the man. But the giant picked his head back up and he's like, I'll see you in a year. So the giant came back in a year, and the knight, he didn't run. He kept his word. He said, I'm a knight. All right, well, that's my word. I'm gonna stick to it. The giant didn't behead him because he evolved, because he stuck to his word. He realized a higher principle than his own life. I think there's something to that.
So I'm washing
Nope.
feet now, man.
Hmm?
Servant. I'm a servant now. I'm washing feet. I said that before. I literally have told my family that I've done everything that I wanted to do, and now I'm a servant to them to help them get to where their peak, to where they can see that, you know, it wasn't what they thought it was. The same way I was able to. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's crazy. Wow.
It takes a different type of strength to be able to lay your life down for a principle, for a cause. It's a different type of strength. I mean, yeah, you can be manipulated into it, right? Gangs do it. The military does it. Hell, businesses do it.
Hey everybody, how's it all going?
Peace, peace.
Peace, my man.
Peace, peace.
Fantastic.
So, hey. So, I been doing a lot of path work and over the last few years, up and down the tree and around the Sephiroths, following the guidance that you find in the Shining Paths by the Law of Shaskroft and the Wiki. And what I think is great about that book is it, you know, it gives you complete and solid correspondences, visualizations, almost like a guided meditation to work with, to find your way and get accustomed with them correspondences and kind of essences around the tree, based on, you know, the egregores that exist there, that have been put there, you know, over generations through cosmic memory, if you want to call it that, and has been etched on the astral for you to, you know, to follow that path. But it's by no means there to follow for the rest of your time. It's there as a kind of, as training wheels. So once you come accustomed with what then correspondences are and that have come before and exist as egregores, it's time at some point to let go of them, because you're following someone else's, you're following Dolores's gnosis. And we all have our own personal gnosis, and it's there to be explored. So I think these different books that you can find on pathworking and the tree are absolutely great, and they are necessary for that scholarly side of the work. But at some point you need to let go of it and start finding your own gnosis in there and what vibrates with your particular energy in order to get the most out of the pathworking. And I feel that's what I'm starting to see, the different possibilities that are opening up now. And you know, I've got the Major Society and yourself, Trav, to thank for that in a lot of ways, because especially now that you brought in, I mean, this last module on the shadow working course regarding memory and all that stuff, wow, you know, it fits so well, it dovetails so well, and obviously by design with the NLP stuff that you've been providing as well, because the tree now opens itself up as a map of memory, both past, present, and future, and outside of space and time. And what you can do with the tree, to put, no, this is all, but to bring it back down into kind of layman's terms, where you can look at the tree and you can look at a specific kind of era in your lifetime, whether it's part of your childhood, you know, maybe it's a day, and you can map that day out on the tree and say, well, where was I on that day? What was I going through emotionally? What was I thinking? What was the mood? What was the smell? What was the sensory experience of that day? And you can map all them things onto that tree via, say, the Sephiroths, and then you can explore the relationships and the synapses between them kind of linguistic and semiotic principles that were exploding on that day, that were getting triggered. And by doing the paths, you can try and bring them into some kind of semblance and some kind of balanced relationship on that middle pillar. Because, and that way, you are kind of shadow working to bring things into balance, to bring things into union, to bring things into to make good friends with each other, if you will, to reconcile with one another. And I think that's one way of, in a way, using NLP with the tree to work through the shadows. And it not only helps you to learn the tree and its structure and the relationships between Sephiroths across the paths and whatnot, but it also helps you develop and kind of nurture into growth that inner child, you know. And I think as well, talking about the inner child, that you know, it's quite easy to say, well, was that then I was a kid, or then I didn't, you know, I was sensitive and whatever. But, you know, as a child, you've got so much, you've got a different type of intelligence, you've got a different type of emotional intelligence and sensory experience. And one could argue that it's more profound, it's more on point, it's closer to that supernal triangle, because, you know, conditioning and society and, you know, institutions that kind of ground us and shape us as we get older, they haven't got a proper hold on us yet. You know, our imagination, we're living in a yesodic place as an infant. You know, everything is imagination, everything is fueled by, you know, our dreams, and we are real magicians then, you know, because we are creating, you know, we're creating things out of nothing, you know, with a click of a finger. So I think again, just to add to that, you know, sort of the visualizations and like sort of objectifications that you make when you're doing meditation on the tree and stuff like that, you know, you're creating this morphic resonance that your, you know, intentions behind, whether that's positive or negative. So someone like Jeffrey Dahmer, to bring it back to this, you know, dude, you know, this guy surrounded himself with the things that created the resonance that allowed him to go forward with complete conviction. So it was within him and it was without him. So now let's just flip that to what we might consider positive. So if you want to be more wholesome, more, you know, expressing gratitude, blah, 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 well, have them things inside yourself, but also have them things outside you, whether that's good deeds, charity work, whatever it may be. Okay. I'll leave it there.
So, Andrew.
Yes.
Very fucking cool. That made me think about, so recently we were talking about submodalities and all of that and what we perceive as truth. And you can create truth when you apply all of the submodalities from different perspectives on the same event. So when we talk about Jeffrey Dahmer, for example, I saw an interview with him recently. It was an old interview, but some people were breaking down his behavior throughout the interview. But one thing he mentioned was that before he went on his killing spree, he had been building up these dark fantasies of doing it. And then he explained that it was as if the universe handed it to him, the opportunity to play out these dark fantasies as if it was fate. And from what I got from what you said with path working and all of that, is what he did was he played out these imaginary fantasies utilizing his submodalities, utilizing all 5 of his senses from different perspectives until he was able to ground it in the material realm.
Yes.
And thus we have the Jeffrey Dahmer of today. So as path working, as we're going through our own depths of who we are, then we can also sort of take that same approach. It's not just staying in the imaginary realm, but it's actually going into an event and looking at it from different perspectives, but utilizing all of our submodalities to make what we desire a reality.
I think as well that, you know, once you become conscious and aware of, you know, the energies that are out there to a limited extent, because who knows what's out there beyond your understanding and your band of awareness. But, you know, yes, there are higher power beings out there, and there are higher power beings out there that want to use us as vessels for their intent. So knowing that, you need to see the patterns and you need to catch on to the vibe and say, whoa, am I going down the wrong path here? Am I hanging around with the wrong people here? Am I, you know, what am I letting myself be influenced by here? You know, and if it doesn't suit your vibe, you know, because if you ain't writing your own narrative, someone else is writing it for you. So, you know, if you ain't liking the story that you're living, become the author of that story, and, you know, rip the page out and let's start again. And by doing that, by creating the vibe that you're interested in pursuing for, you know, for positive reasons, from where I'm standing, then that vibe will attract the higher order beings that are interested in working with that energy that you're projecting. So again, it's kind of law of correspondence, as above, so below, you know, works both ways.
If you build it, they will come concept, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. I as somebody that has been doing this thing my whole life, I can attest, man. If that's what we're talking about here, which it is, you know, like you said, like building up the images in your mind and setting, not just in your mind, but like putting things in your reality that reflect, you know, where you see yourself going. You know what I mean? Where you want to see yourself in the future, that you see in your mind. Man, that's awesome, bro. That's some powerful stuff, man. You and the Lord, y'all banging it out, man. Keep it going. That's awesome.
Hell yeah. I'd like to make somewhat of a side comment on what you had mentioned, Andrew. I think you may be looking ahead, as an occultist would, on what you mentioned about memory and using the tree for past, present, and future time travel. At least this is what I figured out has worked for me. I'm not necessarily going to put this in the course, so I'm just going to say it now. You mentioned something about going to specific dates, right? And maybe trying to find a correspondence on the tree that might correlate, right? What if there was some kind of chart or organized way to arrange the dates with the cards?
Absolutely.
Or with the Sephirah, or with the paths? Something to test out.
So, Travis, are you implying that an astrological chart would be a good way in order to tap into time travel?
So since, yes to your question, and since these things that we're dealing with are metaphysical, beyond the physical, that means that the answers are also going to be metaphysical. So an astrological chart is one way, the tarot cards is one way, the tree of life is another way. Because as we learned from that book specifically, all three of those things are mingled up into the same science, right? So there's a Kabbalistic way, and a tarot way, and an astrological way to maybe tap into past memories or future memories. The 32nd path isn't just the path to your Yasad. 32nd path is the path to all Yasads.
I think as well that talking about memory there and time travel and using the tree as a flux capacitor, you might say, then you could almost use the tree as a kind of healing field, like this morphogenic field, but one that heals through ancestral contact. So when you and it's so crass, it's so cheesy, but there's something in it. You know, we think of a family tree. Okay, now imprint your family tree on the tree, or as much of you know about it, and then let's talk about the relationships between ancestors, between cousins, aunties, grandparents, what have you, on the tree, and what's happening, how is the resonance changing from generation to generation, what good has been brought forward and what's been shedded away, and why has it been shedded away. And you know, this becomes, I guess, like a interdimensional form of shadow working. Then it becomes, I mean, I don't know where I'm going with this because I'm not that far, but maybe I can pass the baton to you there, Travis, or somebody else.
Jeez Louise. My grandma has a family tree in the house, and it's actually this big picture of like a tree and all the different branches going off to as many relatives as possible. And this wasn't done by like some agency, like she put this together based on her own records. I always thought that was really cool. And like you can legit see on that tree certain because there's pictures too, like certain Native American peoples. And there's even one fellow who is is a white guy from Scottish ancestry. That's always been curiosity. I've been meaning to see if I can find any information about that. But when we deal with family and bloodline and lineage, that's all very yesodic. Very yesodic. Because on the physical plane of Asaya, we get our physical body from the people who came before us, right? Well, this is also happening on the astral and the mental. There's a mental lineage. There's also an astral lineage. And this is why we seek and search for a spiritual family to belong to, right? It's built into the human to seek some type of spiritual family, whether that's you trying to find a church, whether you're trying to find some group to be a part of. It's built into us. And it's not because people are weak. It's because we want to know where we belong. It's a human thing. We got to belong to something. Even if you're a loner, even if you're a solo lone wolf, I guarantee you call yourself something, right? I'm a Sigma male, right? Or I'm a Sith Lord, right? That's still a lineage. So just like our bodies have a bloodline that it's attached to, the spirit, the soul, this energy that you formulated with your ego and your personality, that has a lineage as well. And it's not based on no flesh. In other words, whatever race that you have been born into, that's not a significator of anything spiritual. It can be, but not like how these people are talking about.
Right, because you're still dealing with a signature that is very much personal. But once you start getting to the higher levels, everything becomes more generalized.
Yeah, Dion Fortune talked about that in the book where she was talking about like the Dharma of the European. You know what I'm saying? And she was talking about that as a bigger thing than just a personality. Like this is what that group is supposed to carry out in the earth while they're here.
Yes, right. Every little collection of peoples, that matter has a destiny. That matter has a karma. Europeans, Africans, Middle Eastern, Asian, Hispanic, all these different groups of people have a karma on the planet Earth. That's one thing. Then you got a whole nother layer of family, like actual family, like my family, your family. They have a karma. And guess what? The soul that we have, this psyche, this is a family too. People like us have a karma that's different from the karma of the physical family. Do you get what I'm saying here? It's more than just a physical family. There's also a spiritual family, and there's a mental family. When you look at these people who study and practice NLP, they belong to a society. That's a family on the mental plane. Entrepreneurs, that's a family on the mental plane. Occultists, This is a family on another plane. Because we all know more than anything, most of the stuff we cannot talk with anyone else about except people like us. Just like it's things that Hispanic people can only talk about with each other because only they understand. It's stuff only white folks can talk about. It's stuff only black folks can talk about with each other because it's stuff only Asian folks can talk about with each other because only they would understand. Same thing applies spiritually and mentally. All that is Yasod. All that is 32nd Path.
What if you can see this in the physical, like in a person like me? I think that thing that I told y'all about, like I can tell when a business is gonna go under, it extends. It extends to other things. Like I can see a person and I can say, like I'll use my wife for example. There's a commercial that comes out where this lady is talking about a lawyer and she got hit by a car. And when I look at this lady, she looks, talks, and acts exactly like my wife's mama. And I mean down to the way she say terrible. Oh, it's terrible. You know what I'm saying? And I told my wife, I said, yo, that woman built off your mama motif. You know, and that's, I don't know if that's a weird thing. Like, is that just me, or can anybody else do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. I'm just wondering because Trav, you are built off my homeboy motif. His name is Austin Porter, and he is. You can look him up. He is the chief deputy. Research scientist for the state of Arkansas. Look him up. I mean, he was the COVID man, but he looks like you. He is a research scientist, a doctor. I'm serious.
I'm seeing.
Look, do you see him?
The dude with the bow tie?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's my homie. And he built off of your motif, and I swear he acts like you, bro. Like,
shit.
Y'all are like dealing with you. I'm used to it because I've been knowing this cat forever. Like, you know what I'm saying? We just went to Nashville together, but y'all are built off of the same fucking motif, bro. I swear. Like,
interesting.
It's crazy, bro. It's insane. But he got so much stuff that you got. It's just directed different. But dude loves research, man. He was telling me about some of the grants that he's written and some of the, like, he's the man when it comes to this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's on all of the commercials and every fucking thing. But that's my best friend. You know what I'm saying? And that fool is like, man, I'm telling you, you and him, y'all in the same soul family, bro. I swear. But you see what I'm talking about?
I do. I first started noticing this when I went off into the military. Like, being in my hometown, didn't really see it. Sure, there was some people that kind of were similar, but when I went out to the military, I realized that all these people I were meeting were just like the people at home. It was like Wizard of Oz. You know, when she goes into Oz and, like, they're different characters, but they're just like people from her home life, right? The Tin Man, bro. Same thing.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I didn't see white people. I seen a white lady that's built off of my aunt's motif. I mean, she wears the same bedazzled hats. She broke her ankle at the playground, and that's, you know, we were sitting there talking to her, and she stepped off of the little bench area that was like lifted up by concrete, and she broke her ankle. And we were sitting there waiting on the ambulance to come, and we had to get a chance to talk to her really good. And I was like, dude, that is Evie. But it's a white lady, but she was exactly like my aunt, just a white lady. But like you say, you got to get outside of your area to see this. But man, the world is the same shit, bro. It's cookie cutter out here. Yep. That shit is fucking cookie cutter, bro. Yep. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. Ain't that what Jesus said? If you seen me, you seen the Father.
The reflection of the sun and the moon. Kether, the sun, the moon, Malkuth. What you're talking about is a big thing. because it's, again, starting to see these patterns, right? And to me, it's gotten to the point, wow. Yeah, it's gotten to the point where there are people that I just meet them online now. And it's like, just based off the pictures and the mannerisms and how they communicate, you're like so-and-so. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm just generalizing and throwing people into buckets. But there's very subtle nuances. You're not going to talk about the same stuff. Your personality is going to be different. But it's like the context is built off of somebody that I already know. When I was doing shrooms at one point a lot, it was kind of scary because I was thinking, well, shit, am I only meeting the people that I already know? Like, am I stuck in some kind of weird cosmic loop? But as I got more mature, you know, I started to see that, like you said, it's cookie cutter. There's only so many different expressions and combinations that the human can be. It's not that complex.
I think this fits really, or aligns very well with some stuff that I know about in terms of film studies. And so you'll have something called genre, which means type. So there's types of films. So you've got sci-fi, you've got horror, you've got romantic comedy, you've got war films, you've got cowboy films, etc., etc. These are all types of films. These are all genres of films. And within each genre, there are codes and conventions. So then codes and conventions, say if it was, for example, a sci-fi genre film, okay, one code or convention would be, okay, interplanetary battles. Something else would be spaceships. Something else would be the type of guns they use, the type of costumes they wear, the type of actors that appear in these things. And then if you take it to a deeper level, then all them codes and conventions are symbolic. They're part of semiotics. They represent something. They connote and denote something, or rather they denote and connote something, meaning they look on the surface to be one thing as a particular symbol, but behind it is the connotation, is the essence, is the meaning. So we start getting into NLP territory here. Sorry, lost my map there. So yeah, you know, and then to take it to another level, you have something called mise en scène, and this is what filmmakers call putting into the frame whatever on the screen is not there by accident, it's there by design. Everything is constructed within the mise en scène that fits with the particular genre or type of film that the filmmakers are trying to recreate and represent to the audience, to find a specific language that is common with the audience. And that's why genre works. That's why it's popular, because it's a formula that works throughout time and the history of cinema. So just like evolution, there might well have been races that existed in the past that don't anymore because they weren't popular enough. They didn't, you know what I mean? So I think you can kind of equate what we're talking about here with a similar kind of schematic, and it becomes almost like this kind of Russian doll principle where there's nested things within one another, and you know, and that's called biology and genetics and heritage and bloodline and all these things, but they all come together to create one package that becomes almost a genre, a type. And you know, you got to, it's tricky. You've got to be careful, because this is where you fall into stereotyping, and you know, all kinds of bullshit can be created around that. Because you know, to zoom out further, okay, we're all different types, but we all share the same consciousness.
Man, I'm one to believe that stereotyping is a necessary thing, man, in the earth. Like that shit, I mean, it's totally necessary for me, especially like, and I don't, no, never mind, I'm not gonna get into that. But man, you're 100% right, man. Like when you the way you talk, when you say genre and the popular vote, I guess you would say, when things are things can touch more than one person. It's cultural. You know what I'm saying? Genre, you know what I'm saying? And you could speak to culture on that, like I was watching the movie Nope, and he put a whole lot of cultural significant things in the movie that you would only know if you were a part of the culture. Like there was a shirt that he wore that was, like you said, like things are not in movies arbitrarily. Like he wore a shirt called Crip Killer. It was a shirt saying Crip Killer on there. But if you didn't know, you wouldn't understand these like Easter eggs, what they call them. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, but go ahead, man. I didn't mean to cut you off, bro. I just
No,
you
no,
just hit
no,
some
no, no,
deep
go.
shit.
Go ahead.
Nah, I mean you touching on some real good shit right there, man. Because I mean you kind of have to make a product that spans a bunch of different um, mindsets, I guess you would
Yes.
say.
I
You know what
think,
I'm
Yes.
saying? Go
yeah,
ahead,
and I
Trey.
think, when you so if you take it into, I mean, I haven't played video games for quite a long time. I think the last thing I was playing was like Grand Theft Auto or something like this. But in that, from what I remember, there were types of characters in that game, and I'm sure the same is true of Fortnite. Only it's more complex, and you can choose your own skins, and you can mix and match, and you can create your own avatar. You know, God knows, a billion times over type of thing, infinitely. But there's still a type. The program will still have a kind of evolutionary kind of intelligence where it picks up on the algorithms of what works and what not, and what's most popular, and it'll probably put them things to the front of your selection. You know, and this is like how advertising and narrowcasting works. So on the internet now, if you ponder on a particular ad for more than 2 seconds, next minute you're getting streamed all ads that have kind of correspondences to that particular product, because it thinks you're interested in it. That's the way this kind of cookies and whatnot work. So the same could be said is true in nature, but you'd call it survival of the fittest in nature, or Darwin would, and what you can do, but survival of the fittest, even though that's working on the physical evolutionary kind of tract, as we know through the law of correspondences, as above, so below, that's also happening upstairs as well, if you want to call it that. That's obviously happening with these higher order beings as well. Let's not forget that them entities, or them vibrational beings, or them angles of light, whatever they are on an evolutionary path as well. They only get to move on when we get to move up. So they are on a karmic cycle as well, just as we are. So and then what's beyond there? Where are they moving to? What are they expanding to? What kind of awareness are they evolving into? This is so much bigger than what we, as occultists, certainly speaking from myself, can comprehend at the moment. And I can comprehend quite a lot of shit at the moment. So, but it's just a fleck on a pinhead. It's crazy. It's beautiful. And, I guess this is why grounding is so important as well, because it's so easy to run out of sandbags in that hot air balloon.
Yes, it is. We run through so many large concepts in a relatively short amount of time. But for everyone listening, I just want you guys to take note of some of these things to think about, because really they provide you a window beyond the facade of what we've been taught reality is. Everything that you can pick up with your submodalities, as Alora said, your five senses, everything that you pick up with those five senses has been filtered. It's been deleted, distorted, and generalized, which means that the true essence of your experience is veiled. And you know it's veiled. They called it Maya. And we can call it all kind of different things. But if you're judging reality based on what your five senses have picked up and what your limited memory, 1111, what your limited memory has presented you with, then you're not even seeing a fleck of the fleck on a pinhead. You're seeing like 1% of this thing. When scientists tell you that you only use 5% of your brain, this is what they're talking about. So what makes magic so awesome is that we're provided an opportunity to see past what we know of as reality. Discussions like this are very helpful because we present ideas to each other that allow us to have an experience of maybe there's more to the story, but not just leaving you there, hinting at what more to the story there is, specifically. Patterns, relationships, and relationships of patterns.
I think as well, just to bring things down to earth a little bit, I was thinking about the Hebrew letters, as you do, and I was thinking about, you know, when you see Yahweh Vavhe configured in the figure of a humanoid with 2 legs and 2 arms and a head. Have you ever seen that? Okay, so I then, after thinking about that, thought, hey, you know what? I remember tap shooting. Remember the sort of the elemental symbols placed at various energy points or chakra points up and down the torso and body. That's okay. So let's take Yahweh and let's break that up into the limbs, parts of the body that it represents in that little kind of sigil or semblance of the Hebrew letters. Absolutely. So then, if you divide the 4 letters that make up Yahweh Vavhe, but meditate on each letter corresponding to the part of the body that it aligns with as a meditation, and see where that takes you. And I'm thinking about this, and I'm thinking, wow, it's so simple, just so simple. I've got to try this. I've got to try it. And before I could try it, I discussed it with someone, and that someone told me that was something Ernest Butler used to teach.
What?
And you talk about the morphic resonance, and we talk about creating these correspondences and becoming a vessel for higher order beings. I think when you focus on a particular current of the occult, you attract that memory that has contributed to it. So you get insights that already are out there. But, you know, I can, you know, hand on heart, I hadn't read about that. I was just pondering it, and it thought, you know what, that actually goes with that, and type of shooting, and then, you know, someone mentioned to me about Ernest Butler, and, you know, what I know about Ernest Butler, well, he was all about type of shooting, you know, currents in terms of, you know, yoga and mysticism and whatnot. So this guy, like many others, like Crowley and Fortune, they were bringing together the East and West in their practice. And this is what you're doing, Trav. This is what we're all doing. And by focusing on that, by practicing them things, I'm certainly getting insight and wisdom from outside of myself, because my satellite dish is aligned in the right direction to receive it.
Yeah. Hell yeah. We think about the vastness of space, which is also the infinite consciousness of Purusha. Well, if you just point your satellite out there, you're going to get anything or nothing. But like you said, when you point it in that right direction, you start to find a path that has already been trodden by other human beings. And maybe something else. But there's breadcrumbs, there's Easter eggs, like Stuffed Dog said. And which would lead me back to thinking about what you mentioned earlier. What's the French word for the scene and the stuff in the scene?
Mise en scène.
Mise en scène. Everything there is supposed to be there. Now, zooming out and realizing that we are in something like a film with this grand director, who's to say that this is not mise en scène?
It is, absolutely.
Everything in our lives is there for a specific purpose, to the point where we think about a movie and time is money, right? People are paying everybody who's there. Everyone has a certain role and everybody's got to flow together, or this is going to be a disaster. So they're not going to just waste time and money on just random stuff. Everything is precise. Your life is like that too. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean that that's not the case. Not you, Andrew, obviously.
You know, the last conversation, Trav, and we were talking about when you said if you knew or had pinpointed a life that you had that you had another incarnation, say in Spain, and like, what would you do to help yourself in that incarnation? You know what I'm saying? If you had pinpointed that and knew, you know what I'm saying? If you were a cultist and knew that. And man, I can honestly say that my son is one of those things. Because this dude, he been here before. I know that. You know what I'm saying? But he is the only, it's like the only voice in my life that can actually check me. And he's only 11 years old. But it's like if I say something to him, he's so astute, he remembers everything. And today, speaking about that fly, I came in the house and I showed them the video that you posted with the swan and the koi fish. When you're like, I know a old god when I see one. And so I showed them that video to give them context when I told them about that fly. And so my son was like, well, what are you gonna do, Dad? And I was like, man, he ran me in the house right now. I was like, man, I don't know what to do. I got to go upstairs and get myself together to go face it. And my son was like, I thought you said you were a God killer, Dad. Ooh. And I was like, oh shit, this little dude be listening to me. You know, so it was like, you know, he's it goes like that where he checks me. And like, I swear that dude was like, I put him here. You know what I'm saying? To remind me of certain things. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah, man. But yeah, like he said, mise en, how does you say it? Mise en scène. How you say it?
Mise en scène.
Yeah, that. Yeah, he's definitely that, man. And I think everything in your life is. You know what I'm saying? It just depends on if you purify yourself, or and I won't say purify yourself. That's a term used in the books. It just depends on if you get yourself you know, in accordance with those things, if you can see it or not. Mm-hmm. You kind of got to develop the the apparatus of vision in that area. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Some things are default, but some things you got to work for.
That's such an important distinction to make. This stuff is always around us, and it has always been. Like, you don't step into a magical world and suddenly you're doing spells and stuff. No, it's always been that way. What's changing is your perception of it. When you said purify, really what we're talking about is, like you said, coming into alignment. You being able to see it. Most people can't see it because we're focused on the five senses and our judgment of the five senses. We're not looking at what's beyond those senses, which again is looking past the veil, looking past Yasad. Whether we're going with the universe, the 32nd path, the 31st path, or the 29th path.
I think as well it's important to remember just how integral, because when we think of Malkuth, for some reason, Malkuth gets a bad rap. You know, it's almost like, oh, that's the mundane, that's the base stuff, that's, you know, we want to get away from Malkuth, we want to get off Malkuth. You know, no. You know, Malkuth just as integral to the tree as Kether is. You know, it is Kether. Okay, you know, and as we know, each of the spheres contains its own tree. You know, so the tree itself is a tree within a tree. So you've got to have a lot of respect, I feel, for Malkuth and for your physical existence, because you can get overridden by, you know, sort of this magical framework that you, or this magical mise-en-scène that we create, this magical scene that we create, that we walk through, you know, in our kind of Yasodic tinted glasses, you might say, you know, and sometimes you can put a foot wrong in the physical world, which then reverberates all across them other subtler planes and then reverberates back. And you got to watch you don't get caught up in a negative feedback loop where you're thinking, I am the magician, I am God, I can't put a foot wrong. Because that's when you will take your eye off the ball on the physical and put a foot wrong. And as soon as you put a foot wrong in the physical, you're putting bigger foots wrong on the subtler planes.
Man. So it helps to have discernment. See, it's so good to be able to see reality in layers, to basically compartmentalize it so that you can see that it's whole, right? If you skip that step of being able to break it apart and analyzing each part in its own place, then seeing it together, when you skip that, we misattribute value and definition. For example, you're saying like, you know, oh, I'm the magician, I'm God, I can't do anything wrong, da 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 da. Well, that is true from a perspective, and it's also extremely false from a perspective, right? This human incarnation, with its history, its beliefs, and its attachments, is not God. Wields the power of God, yes. But the self that is beyond space, meaning it's not incarnated in space, and the self that's beyond time, meaning that it was never born and it will never die, that self has to be God, because that self is the information, is the data. Now, the law of polarity, that self is at the top of the pole, and this self is at the bottom of the pole. It is the same pole, but depending on what angle I'm looking at it from, that makes all the difference. And if I don't see that, if I just see me here in this physical body and the stuff that I heard on the internet from my favorite occultist, I'm going to be sorely mistaken. Yeah. I am the magician.
If you're still referring to yourself as an I am, you're already coming at it from an individualized perspective, which is the lowest form of self-identification.
I think as well that when, you know, you are in that identification and whatnot, and you're working this path, that's when people get kind of sabotaged by themselves. And that's when, you know, you hear people talking about when they start practicing an occult path, that the things that aren't necessary in their life get stripped away.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing is, once you're on this path, there ain't no turning back. You know, you kind of made a kind of unwritten kind of agreements with the universe that this is where you're going, and the door shuts behind you, and you know that stuff, that unnecessary habits or people or what relationships or whatever in your life will be ripped away from you if you're not willing to let go of them. So you better be ready. You better be up for letting go of these things that you've become attached to, whether they be negative relationships or whether they be too many candy bars, whatever it may be. It's going to get swept away, and that's a sacrifice you have to make for a more evolved awareness and to receive that more robust technology. It also means you might be a little bit lonely, because like we've mentioned over and over again in these lives, that, you know, who can you relate to? You know, before, yeah, totally, the path of the hermit. I mean, before the internet, you know, before the major society, before people had forums to connect to, you know, we think we're lonely. Wow. You know what I mean? You know, imagine you're the only witch in your village. What?
Shit.
You know what I mean? And so it's like you've got to be ready to accept the sacrifice. You have to give up these materialistic and energetic things that hold you back from your own evolution. And again, when we talk about, you know, that the veil of Paraketh and that kind of transition up from Tiferet towards Stars, you can't make that journey unless you let go of all your attachments. So when this is almost like a little trial run that we're going through here on Malkuth. Hey, if you can't let go of Rod, Jane and Freddie and whoever else is fucking up your life, there's no way you're making it to that, my friend, you know?
Man, listen. I said it previously, and I'm glad Michael Bell chimed in, the professor. He wrote an awesome book about Masonry and Kabbalah. But he said he remembers when he was first on the 32nd path. All this time he thought he was on Doth. No. He was just getting started. I had that same realization. And I talked about my path working that I experienced on the 32nd path, and when I write my book, that's going to be in there. My experience on the 32nd path was being in an asteroid belt, having to find a diamond. Now, the path working is going to be different for Dolores Ashcroft Nowicki. It's going to be different from Asenath Mason. It's going to be different from all kinds of different people. But like what you said earlier, the path working that we see in these books are what they experienced. But that energy is the same. There's an acute sense of loneliness because you realize you're the only one in your universe that is on that path. And if you can't take that kind of pressure, something's gonna have to change. Imagine being the only witch in your village.
That's crazy.
Man.
I just started looking on in like at my hop side, you know, to find some kind of reflection of myself, because I don't have any of it on my mom's side, and that's the side that raised me. So I mean, you know, but I guess it's not supposed to be. Maybe it's not supposed to be found for me. You know what I'm saying? Maybe this is my family. Major society, you know what I'm saying? Maybe this is the reflection that I'm looking for. So Never know, man. You can only just keep on walking down the path.
Ripped from you if you don't let it go. I know what that feels like.
Yeah. I mean, the thing as well that is also real easy to forget and taken for granted. And I mean, Trav, you bang on about it. I've been banging on about it for years and for damn good reason. And that it's meditation. You know, don't think that you can just, okay, well, I've done a week's worth of meditation. That's going to last me the year. I know meditation now. I got it down. I don't need to do it. I can do it. No, because it's almost like when you're meditating, it's like money in the bank. It's like you're saving, you're building this kind of energy. You're building this ball, this nest egg that's kind of, expanding your awareness. But if you drop that ball and go away for a week and don't do nothing, all that dissipates. Yes, there will be awareness that remains, but the energy dissipates.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to start from square one again.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so important to try and reframe your view of meditation, because so many people think it's boring. Oh, I haven't got time. Life gets in the way. You're either a magician or you're not. And you obviously are. And again, like I said, shit is going to get ripped from you. You're going to get ripped limb from limb if you don't do your meditation, because you won't be equipped without the meditation, without the practice, to handle what the path throws at you.
Now we're entering the realm of scaring people away from meditation.
Hellraiser.
Yeah. I loved that movie. The original one now.
Yeah, man.
Even as a youngin', I knew it was more than just scary monsters from hell. I knew it was something more to it.
Clip off.
Yeah. Look at what the pursuit turns you into. A shell of your former self. A husk that doesn't deserve the flesh that it stinks in. Stop it.
It's a new Hellraiser coming out too.
I heard. They haven't done a good job since number 2, so let's see what happens. Oh man. Yeah, the meditation thing. So everyone, I think, should meditate because it really helps, but there is another part of it that isn't necessarily spoken of, and I think that's what you touched on, Andy, which is the fact that when you get deeper into these meditation practices and they become part of your life, a certain momentum is built up, right? And like you said, even if you stop, the awareness that you've gathered along the way remains, but that momentum that you've been building, and you got to build it up again. So are you saying, if I stop meditating, I'm going to lose my power? Let's just say that the power of meditation is in its consistency. The power of mantra is in its consistency. The power of magic is in its consistency. That's what the bull represents on this card. The power of Asaya, endurance.
You lose the etheric essence of your will. So, okay, you can will, you can say, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get it done, job done, good job. Yeah, okay, we can force something, we can make things happen physically. But when you're talking about magic and you're wanting to affect things across time, space, and outside of that, then dimension, you need that energy that meditation cultivates. You need a lot of it. And you only get it by doing it every day. And these like sort of mystics. How long do they sit in meditation? All their lives, you know what I mean, in order to transcend. So that's not my chosen path, but I want enough of that energy to be able to orchestrate and build my own cosmic mise en scène, as I'm sure we all do. But to be able to do that, you've got to be meditating at least once, twice every day, at least, if you want to get them results you're really after, that you really desire, because they won't come by just wishing.
No, it ain't that kind of magic.
Hell no. Greetings, everybody. I got to throw something in right quick. Alligator the Greater here.
Greetings.
Well, hell, if 100 people that came to me in the last month about meditating, probably about 2 of them actually do it all the time. And this is a very pivotal part of the process or the path. However, I wanted to give y'all a little cheat code too with this meditation thing. If you don't feel like meditating, throw on some fucking binaural beats, but you got to do them with the headphones on. Because, most of the time these meditations are geared towards going to a certain brainwave state. You're trying to get to that theta or alpha. And, you can get there real quick with a binaural beats, but you have to have the headphones on. You can't do it sitting in a room with a stereo. You probably could, but it'll be a little bit more difficult because, the brain waves, pretty much put your brain on a certain frequency, and it do it real damn quick too. So once you get that certain state, just kind of sit there and just kind of let it throw you in there. It's kind of like a autopilot meditation, So we're gonna do our regular meditation, but some days you just can't get there for whatever reason. Maybe the energy is not aligned for that particular day, or a certain planet doing what it's doing to you. But if you throw on those headphones and put on a good ass, just say theta brainwave state, shit, man, you'll be in all kinds of fucking dimensions. So, I just want to, throw that in there for you because I've been kind of fucking with the Monroe Institute lately. And, man, them motherfuckers, they like, fuck the meditation. We're going to just throw your ass right on into this shit. So, but yeah, and I'm not talking from what I heard. I'm talking from experience. So, yeah, every now and then, it got a plethora of binaural beats on. But get some good ass headphones now. Don't get none of them cheap ass iPod ass things where you can still hear shit. You want the headphones to kind of cover your ears too, so it kind of blocks out the background noise or whatever. But yeah, that's a nugget I want to share with the class, with the group.
Absolutely.
What up, Trail, that fucking goddamn that goddamn shadow work goddamn class. Man, who the hell are you?
Man.
God damn. I just had to throw that in there, man. That's some next level shit, man. Don't open up your college.
I'm just a vessel.
You're just a vessel, my brother. I appreciate it, man. I just want to throw that in there. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox tonight.
That's some good information. Because what are we really talking about here? We're really talking about trance, right? We're really talking about going into trance. Now, what meditation does is it's a direct way to go into specific types of trance. And we found that binaural beats can assist in doing that too. That's what the Monroe Institute, that's kind of their foundation of how they go into their mystical states, is reaching trance through the use of technology, through sound. And Lance Benefield in the chat says that I heard that reading is a form of meditation. But what are we talking about? Going into trance. Now, as we learn from the Gold Book, you're always in trance. You're never not in trance. You don't know what not being in trance is. But the thing is, there are specific trance states that are more efficient for specific outcomes. So when we go into meditation and we go within, we're actually hitting a certain level of trance. And in that state, we now have different options of behavior, whether it's mental behavior or physical behavior. Likewise, if you really tap into a binaural beat, it alters your state as well. Now, the thing about having the headphones, see, most of the time, I got mine coming from my speakers 24/7. The thing about the binaural beats is that the way they actually work is it produces one frequency in one ear and a slightly different frequency in the other ear. And that slightly different frequency, it's offset just enough to create a phantom frequency. You perceive a phantom frequency. So in other words, if one frequency is numbered at like 15 and the other is numbered at 13, there's a -2 difference between 15 and 13. So that -2 is the frequency that you're hearing in your head. So if 2 relates to theta state, then your mind perceiving that frequency is going to gradually entrain to that state. You catch what I'm saying? That's the most popular way. There's also isochronic tones, and the way that works is through pulse. And some of these work where it has a pulse pattern in the background, and your subconscious mind lines up with that pulse pattern, and it does the same thing. You perceive that state. I love it. I love it. I've been using these things for a long time, but it works. That's the thing. And what I found is that there's certain binaural beats that I listen to for certain things. Like I got one when it's time to work, and it's almost like my secret weapon. When I'm overwhelmed and too distracted, and I just can't get myself to do what I need to do, I throw on this binaural beat and I get it done. Not because it's special, but because I've been using it since 2012. And because I've used it for this one purpose for so long, as soon as I hear it, my brain goes into work mode. This is what you can do. So it's a mixture of the technology, but also your association with it. So pick yourself a collection of binaural beats that you love and stick with specific ones.
I think everyone is tapped into state control, which is a way to get into meditation. I've recently gotten to doing very specific practice, and what has helped has been, so if I have the idea of doing meditation and the automatic symbol that comes up creates tiredness or a lack of motivation to do it, I will then use that to switch the symbol that is coming to my mind so I can change my perspective on the meditation. So for example, instead of when I say, okay, I need to meditate now, there's gonna be a symbol of me sitting there and I'm going, whoa, as I'm trying to meditate. So instead, I'll change the symbol to say Doctor Strange or a Jedi, Strange, excuse me, or another symbol of, say, like a monk or something like that, meditating, reaching higher states. And when I look upon that symbol, I feel inspired immediately. So I use that to change my frame of mind to go into the meditation practice. And then, as with all ritual, when you actually personify it or play out or act out that character, you're able to embody that state and its effects on a higher magnitude.
Hell yeah. So, what are you saying, Alora? Are you saying that we're working with state control in our magic, but as we take it to a higher level, we start dealing with archetypes, thought forms, and states that already exist as characters in a larger play? Leela?
Yeah.
In other words, I can take on the state. I can take on the state of Purusha and have a relationship with Prakriti.
That's right. And you have the freedom to play that out, to imagine yourself as that.
I wonder what type of options of behavior that would afford for me. Andrew talked about meditating on the Tetragrammaton, meditating on the elements. I wonder what assuming such a state might do for an individual. See, the average person doesn't go around thinking about this. The average person goes around thinking, my ancestors were slaves that were whipped and beaten. That's where I come from. Some people go around thinking, I'm in a rat race, a hamster on a wheel. That's all I do, all day, every day. These are the kind of states that the general public rest in. Some people say, whatever my sexuality is, that is who I am, and that's the most important part about me, and everybody needs to know it. There's a lot of different states that people use as their platform of existence. What's more effective? What is useless?
I think it's fun when you start having the ability to become aware of the states and then change the role as you go into different circumstances. So like, what if you could choose the different aspects or roles that you're going to play out according to the circumstance that you're going into?
Flexibility, being able to assume what's appropriate for the situation.
Mm-hmm.
In the chat, Darko Dani says the SK in Scrange is the embodiment and it solidifies your powers or prowess.
Another reason to possibly use that for your symbology when going into meditation.
I invoke thee, Dr. Scrange. I assume the potency of Dr. Scrange for a piece of change.
Oh.
I think as well, you get into, sympathetic magic, which is such a wonderful area of all this as well. Working with correspondences and anchoring them states into everyday objects, whether that be a unicorn pen or whether that be an item of clothing. That when you wear a particular piece of clothing, you've anchored it to a particular essence. You've framed it as a piece of, as an energetic tool or instrument. So with that in mind, then I guess we get into the territory of servitors and watchers, familiars, things of that nature. But also, you mentioned, Trav, a few sessions ago about, and I think it related to chaos magic, where you spend a week in the mindset of someone that is totally alien to you or the opposite to you. And although that can be taken to extreme, there's subtleties as well. So just by, I guess, the art of or the practice of people watching, you can get into to see the people walking around in your neighborhood or whatever, and you can put yourself in them people momentarily, and like this idea of walk a mile in someone else's shoes, because everybody is you at some level, and the more malleable and flexible you're able to become with your perception of self, the more expansive you become, and the more you're able to see situations from multiple perspectives. And when you're able to do that, you give yourself more options, you give yourself more ability to deal with situations rather than just coming from your own kind of fixed standpoint that you've been, sort of evolving, and you've been treading that path for so long that you get stuck in that groove, but you need to make other grooves that you can put your needle into to play different tunes, if that makes sense. you know, I'm getting a bit metaphorical here, but you know, if you're able to vibe on different frequencies, then you're better equipped for what life throws at you. You know, and all what we're talking about here is, you know, changing your state or taking on, you know, I guess there's a practice, you know, where you step into the God form. That's what you're doing at a kind of higher vibrational rate. But there's so many steps towards that can be taken, and that can be something as simple as changing your hairstyle, you know, and you can use sympathetic magic in that way to activate a different attitude and a different point of view.
What you talked about, Andrew, is the beginning steps towards brainwashing yourself. When you aggravate the environment, you put yourself in a state of change. That's one of the steps towards brainwashing yourself into achieving, you know, as we use this to achieve a desired goal, right? That you dictate, but this is one of the steps to brainwashing, aggravating your environment. So changing.
I'm sorry, Lori, go ahead.
No, that was it.
No, I was going to say, I was just talking to somebody about this today. I was in Kroger, and my cousin walked up to me, and I was at the pharmacy, and she, you know how you walk up to somebody and they don't see you coming and you just kind of bump up against them. And so she did that, and I turned around and I was like, hey, what's up? You know? And she was like, yeah, I was trying to get your attention, but you were walking in really animated. And I said, yeah, that's because anytime I go out in the public, I have a theme song playing. And I said that any man who is, like, you know, worth his salt should put a theme song on that makes him feel more like a man when he goes out. You know, and she kind of noticed that about me, because when I'm walking, you know, it was The Man Right Here by Mystical. You know what I'm saying? And that's like my theme song, you know, when I go out, and I kind of embody that, you know, so, and I'm a big man. So, you know, these kind of things kind of go hand in hand with me, the man right here, you know, because I am the man in my community, like, for real. You know, if you knew me, you would know that. But I literally embody these things by, like, putting theme music on, you know, something that makes me feel way bigger than, you know, maybe how I'm feeling at the time, and it works every time. That's crazy that's in the books. That, like, wow, I've been doing that for a long time though. My wife hates
Yeah, try one of them Ajapa mantras, goddamn.
Yeah, I'm gonna try one of them, bro. The Japa mantras.
Shit, you'll fuck around and levitate.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. Because I mean, I'm very susceptible to that. Because like I say, I've been doing that for a long time. So I'll switch it up and try some tunes. But like, music does it for me, bro. Like, if I got the right song, man, you talking about floating. I feel like I'm floating when I'm walking through the earth.
I think also an important point, is just as important as grounding and meditation is cleansing as well, because obviously doing these practices, you're picking up on so many different energies, and they are becoming part of your etheric field in a way, you know, and so it's good to cleanse as well, you know, on a regular basis. And I heard this great analogy somewhere recently, whereas, you know, if you use a knife to cut an onion and you don't wash that knife, everything else you cut with that knife is going to carry that kind of onion taste or smell for some time. So, you know, obviously, you know, you might be working with things that might be considered negative or something that you don't necessarily want to kind of resonate with other relationships, with other situations. So I think it's important to cleanse as well, and to constantly be, you know, turning a new page and cleaning the slate, as it were, before going into different situations, different practices, which obviously, you know, we have banishing rituals to help facilitate that as well. I think it's also important to do it on a physical level as well, whether that's taking a spiritual bath or whatever it may be, you know, or using incense and whatnot.
If you're gonna be fucking with that rap music, you need to be doing the LBPR every day. You know what I mean? Because that shit is programmed on a very low fucking vibration. And take it coming from a aspiring rapper back in the goddamn early 2000s, man. I used to love rap music, but that shit they got going on now, even some of that old shit, is very low vibrational. And it was I'm not gonna get into the conspiracy theory aspect of it, but yeah, it's on a low vibration. So that's why I say you got to figure out what frequency that shit is on. You can get you one of those frequency meters and basically see what type of frequency some of this shit is on if you really want to get technical. But yeah,
Now,
man.
Gator, you real, Gator. That's real, bro. Like you can feel it. I mean, you don't even gotta get a frequency meter.
Shit, that shit
You
like
can,
Drive by. I know I called one song what Bout It by Master P. That shit is like drive-by theme music. I mean, shit make you want to go do it.
right. Yeah, like mosh pit shit.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, put you on that lower free. You're right. You're 100% right, bro. You gotta watch yourself. That's why I'm listening to old shit.
So, you know, you every now and then, even if daily, hit yourself with that, you know, lesser banners and pentagon ritual. You know what I mean? Hey, I got that shit from Trav. You know what I'm saying? I do that shit every day now. You know, just to start shit off. You know, just to ground myself. So, you know, hey, that's what I do. But yeah, be careful of that rap music, man. You know, even though I used to love it, not only that, it's a lot of shit, a lot of music, man. You know what I'm saying? Hell, Megadeth, a lot of shit back in the day we used to listen to, man. You know, you gotta watch that shit.
I just realized today that reggae music, I was thinking that reggae music was all high vibrational. But I had my Pandora on for 5 songs, and 3 of them songs had slave motifs in the song. So I was like, man, this shit is like, you know what I'm saying? It's programming, you know what I'm saying? Like, because every single one of them was talking about, you know, the slaves this and the slaves that, and I'm like, man, these people are rich, man. Why are they still seeing slaves? But I don't know. But it's a program, though. You can see it. It's definitely a program. You're 100% right, David.
So I have a question then for the group. When do we differentiate between intent and then context, or context and content when it comes to things? Because, you know, like there are certain trigger words, there are all these certain messages that can be brought up that can be interpreted as one way, as a curse, right? But according to intent or how it's used, it may help someone else. So where do we differentiate that?
Good question.
I'd like to say that's a good question as well, and that's actually what the next part of the map section is going to be about, dealing with matter and the children of matter. But go ahead, what do you guys think?
So you mean like the context that it may have been built in, you can change that like when I put on the man right here, I'm not hearing the actual frequency that it's being played in. It does something to me and it makes me feel a certain kind of way. But I do understand the science behind lower frequency things, you know what I'm saying? But like Alora was saying, and what that question was, you know what I'm saying? Like reframing, like we've been talking about, like reframing things, like for your own context, you know what I'm saying? The content is the same, but for your purposes, it may be different, you know?
I think, Alora, that for me, that kind of points to really analysing where you're coming from and where you're trying to get to with what you're doing, and what is the true nature of it. You know, are you coming from a place of vanity, or, you know, I guess an easy way to put it would be, are you coming from a place of fear or love? And what is the end result you're trying to achieve through your intention within the context that you're working? And is it something that's self-serving, or is it something that is caring and sharing in community? And yes, there are times where you might have to do something that's considered to be selfish or self-serving in order to serve the greater good. But is it really that? And I think this is where shadow work's so important as well. You know, where is this intention? What's it motivated by? What's the emotion behind it? Why am I even trying to get there? You know, what am I trying to achieve? I guess that's where that starts when thinking about that question that you posed.
I was thinking about this today, and one of the things that came to my mind would be, do I understand this? Is there a lack of understanding in any way that then affects that outcome? Because you can have good intentions with something, but if you don't know what it is that you're messing with.
That makes sense.
Especially with that subconscious mind, you know, you can get played with and you don't even know it.
Sure.
I guess, again, that idea of higher beings, you know, that are beyond space and time, that we are vessels for, and that we, you know, sort of communicate, transmit and receive with. You know, yeah, how do you know what their intention is? You know, but then you're working within realms that are outside what we understand as a moral code. You know, there ain't ethics there. You know, that's a construct that we've come up with in order to not killing each other as much. But knowing the pattern, you know, life is savage. You know, creation. You know, what the God. You know, there's this acronym of generator, operator, destroyer. You know, there it is. That's the pattern of this mise en scène. And so you again, you have to use intuition and be guided by intuition. And I think when you're working with subtler energies, you instinctively know for the incarnation you are at this moment whether something is right. And it's not a moral thing, it's not an ethical thing, it's a vibratory thing for me anyway at this stage.
Discernment, huh? Is the ultimate word, I guess you would say. You know, discernment. You know, that's the first stage, right? But like that's what path, what 32, the 32nd path.
That's what you got to have to cross it.
Okay,
right.
So in my NLP voice, what the hell is discernment?
Man, I guess it's it's built in you know, on the journey. It's different for different people. It's I mean, I don't. It's one of those things that's kind of hard to explain. It's like you just got to kind of build it, But you got to know, like, where if you being if what you looking at is really what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like alligator, like what you were saying about the music. You know what I'm saying? Like we were told that what I'm saying, it had that lower vibration. You know what I'm saying? But like Alora said, is that the truth, or is that the truth for you? Is that the truth for everybody? Can somebody listen to it and it actually do something good for them? I don't know. But for me, you know what I'm saying? It looks a certain kind of way. But like, what the hell is discernment?
And the reason why I asked that because I brought that word up recently, and somebody went to talk about, oh yeah, preachers have that, and I was like, oh shit. So it made me think about it. What is discernment? In the context that we're talking about it.
This is something that me and Veronica talked about just the other day. Me and Veronica were having a discussion about discernment, and I think she came up with a pretty good way to break it down. Basically, I asked her, what's her favorite fruit, and she said mango. So we talked about mangoes, right? Is she here right now? Yeah, she's here. Hey, Veronica. Well, anyways, we talked about mangoes, and I asked her, so when you go to the grocery store, or when it's time to get a mango, how do you know which one is the one to get? So she started breaking down some stuff I never heard of. She's talking about how the color actually means something, the smell, the texture, you know what I'm saying? So look, the color is sight, the smell is the nose, the texture is the feeling, the taste of it, right? All these different things you can decide on what's a good mango, what's not a good mango. You can look at 100 mangoes and pick which one. I don't know that. So I said, if me and her went to the grocery store, and she literally broke down all the different ways that she can tell us a good mango, stuff I never would have thought of. So if me and her both go to the grocery store and we have 5 seconds to choose 3 of the best mangoes, and you're gonna get $1 million, I'm not gonna win against her. She's gonna go in there, pop, pick the best ones, and I'm just gonna grab something at random, right? Because she has the discernment based on experience, right? Based on a whole lifetime of experience. She's tasted good mangoes and bad mangoes. She's actually been out to see fresh ones. She saw vendors on the street who actually were farmers. She's seen the grocery store. She knows the difference because she's had so much experience that she can just naturally, subconsciously start to select the best choice for her intention. If her intention is to eat the best mango, she's going to pick the best mango based on her intention. I don't have that kind of experience. So even after her telling me that, I'm going to try my best, but she's still going to pick a better mango. Her discernment's better than mine in that situation. So when we talk about discernment, it's literally about accumulating the necessary experience and applying it wisely. Now, I don't know about maybe her preacher does have discernment. But the real question is, does she?
Good answer.
Great answer.
I gotta throw this out here because everyone's talking about, what discernment is and how we can tell all of that. Andrew said generator, operator, destroyer, right? As in living from God's self. And so I kind of just went on a little tangent here, because what is memory made up of? Distortion, generalization, and deletion. So could this possibly be a way? The generator distorts, right? It generates a picture from all of the some experiences. The operator generalizes those experiences, and the destroyer then completes deletion.
Will, are you still here?
Present.
Did you hear what the hell she just said?
Yep.
You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. You cannot make this shit up. The presence of the Lord is here. Basically, before we went live, Will broke down something awesome. He was telling me about how deletion, distortion, generalization lines up with the 3 gunas. And just what you said there, was what he received. Generalization being the sattvic element, deletion being the tamasic element, distortion being the rajasic element. Holy shit.
Oy.
You got to redo that video now, Trav. We don't mind. You can go back and read
Season 4.
Season 4.
Holy cow. Message. That was for you, Will. That was for you. That was confirmation for you. You just tapped into some deep shit.
It's all across the board, man. It's all the same stuff. You need to understand one to understand the other on the tree.
And this is why we study the fundamentals. Because and everything becomes connected.
All the triangles on the tree, whichever way you look at them.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
What's up?
And that makes me wonder as well, that may be why Malkuth is connected to all the spheres, and why it's necessary to be here.
Why is that?
Well, probably because this is where we can actually experience, at least in a lower sense, all those experiences. You can experience tamasic, rajasic, and sattvic experience on Earth, whether it's in the realm of Yasad, if you can, get enough experience there, or even higher, and still be in a body while you experience in waking life. In my perception, anyone can have any take of that.
Sheesh.
Nah, but Alora, man, holy shit. I wish I came a little bit earlier to hear y'all talking earlier before y'all went live, but goddamn.
Like, the fact for you to even bring that up, and we specifically talked about that before going live, like that had to happen just as a confirmation. It had to happen. Because that could have happened later. That could have happened in a DM. That could have happened in another live stream. I love it. I love it. And while I got you here, Matthew, this is completely inspired by you telling me about Darkseid.
Oh, man.
Too badass.
No, he's one of the best,
Man, listen.
villain archetypes that we got on this earth right now, bro.
Who is Thanos? I forgot about it. What the hell is a Thanos? When I saw that movie, man.
You snatched mine, Trail. I love Darkseid.
I didn't know anything about him.
He's in my chart. That was my cart on Amazon. I got 3 of them in there, and he's the man. I love Darkseid.
Yeah, man. So I got an altar full of like villains who rule the universe, and he even comes to the freaking throne. He's gonna be right there in the center of it. Well, he is in the center of it.
Because the thing I love about Darkseid is that in the DC universe, he's the embodiment of negative intention. I thought it was evil. Nah, he's the embodiment of negativity, and that's just his corporeal vessel. There's another aspect of Darkseid that we can't see in the comics, and I love how they made it like it's an abstract aspect of the self that's on a higher plane that may be able to affect us theoretically.
And when you say us, you mean like people that are not in comic books?
Supposedly.
Yeah.
If stream theory holds true.
It's like a Cthulhu kind of.
I think that's where like a lot of these comic book writers are like getting these ideas from, man.
So I knew we were gonna go in this direction as well. Lovecraft. Clip Off, Tunnels of Set. Does anybody know who probably one of the earliest authors to really flesh out and break down the Clip Off and the Tunnels of Set?
Thomason?
Kenneth Grant.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, Kenneth Grant, who knows who was his direct teacher? Who was his first guru?
Crowley.
Crowley?
All right, y'all are on it. Now I'm about to stump you. Are you ready? Who was his second guru?
Jack Parsons.
Nah.
Austin Osmosphere.
Nah, y'all looking in the wrong direction. As I told you.
Fortune?
Go to Kenneth Grant's Wikipedia page and just scroll down until you hit some photos. Blew my mind.
Franz Barton.
I said go to his Wikipedia page. Stop guessing. You're not gonna guess it.
Bobby Hemmett.
Bobby Hemmett.
Boom. Right there. Bobby Hemmett.
That's your shit.
Get the fuck out of here.
You're gonna have to go to his Wikipedia page and just scroll down, look at the pictures, and look at the influence on the Tunnels of Set and the Clip Off, and how it did not originate in where you thought it did.
Oh, awesome. What?
What? Okay, there's Grant. Oh, Ramana Maharishi.
Say what?
Ramana Raharshi.
I don't know. It says he was fucking with Austin Osmosphere here. I know that's his wife. No, he was fucking with Austin Osmosphere.
I didn't say he wasn't.
Wow.
Speaking of Wikipedia, anybody on here got a Wikipedia page?
No.
Oh, oh no. Wait. Never mind.
Nobody does?
You do.
Called the human body.
Crazy.
I think that's who he was trying to get at, the
That's all you do.
Maharshi, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. You're right.
Yeah.
So his reference to the tantras and this dark tantra, black tantra, it isn't something that they just made up over there. Like, he seems to have somewhat vetted himself, I suppose, based on his affiliation. Into the Clip Off I go. By myself. Don't follow me.
Oh, it's too late now, Trav. Eventually we got to go through the Tunnels of Set, man. We doing the front side of the tree, man. We got to do the back side.
Man. That shit crazy. Ooh, I can't wait.
Jump on that.
I had some serious experiences, man, dealing with that and the Typhonian current, and yeah, man, it's cool.
It cool my ass.
It's cool. It is what it is, bro. Like I said,
It is what it is.
It's what it is, man.
Path working, man. Path working is where it's at.
Yeah. Some of the experiences I've had were not pleasant. The 30-second path experiences I've had seemed very cliphotic to begin with, and I wasn't even trying to go there. One of them was just that pure isolation of being, like I said, out in space with an impossible task. Another was me being completely squeezed of the life force that was in me. Like, imagine just being stretched and pulled like taffy until it was excruciating. And instead of running from that vision, I stuck it out. And that's where I really started to realize what it is that makes it back up the tree is that spark of life, that will that persists, the will that defies matter. If you don't have that, you're not doing anything. It is that spark itself that creates the magic. It's that spark, that willpower itself, that creates this law of attraction and manifestation and all that sweet shit that we talk about. It's that spark of life.
Wait, Trav.
Yeah.
So, all right, in Tawa Shuti, the top part of that diagram has 3 forces. A knowing force, Jnana Kriya. The one on the other side is activating force. I think I messed up the names, but I think that one's Kriya. But in the middle is willing force, Ichicha. And it's on the central pillar. Is that what makes it up the tree? Is that the force that it's talking about?
What I think is that underneath the Maya stage, those 3 forces are fused into one. And I don't think they become separated until we get through the Maya stage. Because that would be... We're dealing with the 3 gunas as well. Probably on the highest octave. I definitely know that squeezing that I felt was an experience of crossing over Doth, or trying to cross through that Maya, getting through that veil of illusion. Because all that squeezing and stretching and being ripped apart was like what we talked about already. Everything that's useless being discarded. No book quotes, no servitor to help, like just the will to survive. And I'm calling it will for lack of better words. Really, it's the LVX, it's the light. It's the piece of consciousness that animates the matter that we experience. But if you split the LVX into 3 pieces, then you've probably got Icha, Kriya, and Jnana. Give me one of them hot dogs. Give me one of them. Give me one of them. Strange. Very, very strange. You got it or you don't. Or should I say you recognize that you have it, or you don't recognize that you have it. Because I can't sit up here and say that some people have it and some people don't. That wouldn't be accurate. I think what would be accurate is that some people realize that they have it and some people don't. Because before any of us know that we've got that fighting spirit, it had to have been tested, right? I think all of us here in this chat have been in a situation where we decided, I have no choice but to survive. Would I be right in that assumption?
Right. Kill the fear.
Yesterday.
100%.
Yeah. I think each of us have had an experience where that was put to the test. Now, I mean, it could have been life or death, or it could have just been, you know what I'm saying, some bills or something small, right? But at some point in our lives, we came into a complete awareness of, man, fuck that. I'm making it out of this. Period. Everyone hasn't had that experience, so they don't know that they have that light. But the thing is, when you know that you have that light, it gets a little bit harder to intimidate you. It's a little bit more difficult to make you submit to matter. Our magical experiences should help to hone and sharpen that light. That's what actually crosses the abyss. So working with these demonic spirits and the Goetia and stuff, one of the first things it should do is should serve to eliminate fear. Not simply because I can feel cool that I can wield the powers of darkness, but to understand that just because I can't see it, just because I don't know what's going to happen next, that's not grounds for being afraid. As a matter of fact, there are no grounds for being afraid. Now you can start to swim in the abyss, which isn't out there, it's in the subconscious mind.
Trav, going back to, I think it was Matt or Will. It might have been Will when you were explaining the three gunas to methods of memory. Was Satwic related to distortion?
Oh no, it's not Satwic at all.
Okay.
Let's say that deletion, we can agree, is a tamasic process, right?
Yeah.
And distortion, that's something that has to be active. Bless you.
That was not me. Okay. It was not. Okay. Sorry. But well, I'm
a whole
sorry.
demon came out.
Yeah, I know.
We've been studying the clip off.
Squeeze out of that nostril. Yeah.
Don't work with zombie screen.
So I'm sorry, what was distortion then?
Distortion is an active process, so we could see that as rajas.
Okay. Rajas. Okay, and then generalization would be Satwic?
Yeah.
Interesting. Because what I was seeing it as, especially when you're coming to terms with the clip-off, right? You were saying, oh, it's so different, but it's a way to, if you go in it without fear. And I was thinking, if we were to see distortion as Satwic, that would be a positive expression. What if you were to go into the clip-off with that idea of it becoming, and Satwic is also an enlightenment, an expression of bringing in a light. And the very clip-off is what is unfamiliar. It is going into what we would perceive as distortion. So that's why I was asking about that, because I was like, oh, that's interesting way that you could implement the gunas into that as well and know which energy perhaps you could express as you're exploring these distortion or these abstract realities.
Please consider as well, one of the patterns of the 30-second path is encountering this darkness and not enlightening it, but becoming it. Getting bitten by the spiders and stung by the scorpions and consumed by the demons. And this would relate to, like we were talking about before, the myth of Persephone and having to cross the river Styx to get to the underworld. Having to become a member of the underworld in order to traverse that territory.
Absorb you. You have to absorb it.
So maybe then it would be more of a tamasic thing because you're neutralizing yourself with it.
You would say neutral is tamasic?
Neutralization? I'd say that's a tamasic quality. It's not a quality. Oh, it's a sattvic quality. Neutralization?
Just going off the root word is neutral, right?
Yeah.
Positive, negative, neutral? So when I look at the gunas and placing the attributes, we look at it in context with the other two. Now, separate, it would probably seem like something else. Like separated to say something is generalized, that doesn't sound too sattvic. But as a group, because remember, as threes, it has to be in the relationship. So deletion, putting it into form, even if it's a negative form, it's removing it. Distortion, like I said, it's an active process. It's something that you have to actively do. And then, of course, generalization, that you're not necessarily taking anything away or adding anything to it in comparison.
Real quick, Trav. So, we're on the clip off and the willing force and all that. So this is about little over a year ago, I think. It's like when the Vedic, I think we finished with Dharana Darshan. Of course, we didn't read the whole book, but we finished that segment of time. And it was just about mantras. We just got on top with Shooties around that time. And I crack open Draconian Ritual book. And this is about time when we started, started to merge the information. I remember where you attributed Lucifer to Buddhi. And I was like, oh man, I'm gonna work with Lucifer to access Buddhi.
Yeah.
So I did the ritual, and the next day, I'm coming home from work, it's dark as hell, and I make a right turn. And there's a guy in another lane, like in oncoming traffic, but he's in another lane. So if I turn, like, there's plenty of room between us. And so I make the turn, and I notice a bright light next to me. And I look to my left, and there's a guy, like, he's screaming and yelling in the car, like the one that was in the other lane. Like, he's now encroaching in my lane. He's screaming and yelling and, like, trying to run me off the road. But in that quick second, I was like, oh, shit, I gotta, I'm about to survive. So I end up, there just so happened to be a police station nearby, and I, like, go on the main road, and then he drives away, but I recognize, like, that was me tapping into Buddhi, like that quick spark of intelligence thinking. But that's also, I guess, the essence of these darker, quote unquote, darker paths, is that these strenuous situations get placed upon you to where the only way out is to survive.
Yes. The only way out is through. Yes. Like what Andy was talking about, being the only witch in the village. When you have no other human contact like that, you're kind of forced to build relationships with nature and the spirits. But likewise, being put in a pressurized situation like that, the normal methods of mentation, as Dion Fortune would say, don't work here. You're gonna have to access something else. And if you don't know how to access it, hey, nature takes its course, right?
And I think, you talk about mentioning higher order beings and what their intention is. And, not wanting to sound woo-woo, but I will anyway. But, so if you are being primed as a priest or a priestess of a particular entity or higher order being, they're going to put stuff in your way to test your mettle. Are you up for the job at hand, or are you just going to fall by the wayside, into the abyss?
This is just the first path.
I know. I know.
Didn't Dion Fortune say it was the most treacherous?
She did.
I'm glad to hear in the story that when that happened, in that split second, you knew that it was what you had did the day before. Because a lot of the times we'll go through an experience like that and not know what it meant, and that's a crazy feeling. And then that's, yeah, you do have to tap in. All right, you either make it or die, and you know what I'm saying, in that situation you have to use your imagination. You gotta tap into certain senses that you don't normally use. So yeah, just to boost off the story a little bit, that's wonderful.
Has anybody ever did the paths on the backside of the tree, as far as tarot is concerned? I mean, I'm just interested to know, because I know we got paths. You know, I know the Sephiroth have different, I guess you could say, manifestations. But are there any relation to the front side of the path to the back side of the path, or is it like 32 more paths on the back side? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That shit ain't going nowhere.
Believe it or not. Okay, so here's the thing. What we're learning about Kabbalah is actually the context. Now, Dion Fortune and some of the others give us a little bit of content in there, but see, most people are looking for content, they're not going to get it. Analyze the context of this tree, because that context is the holographic pattern that resonates above and below. What do I mean? Study the structure of the 10 spheres and the 22 paths that connect them, because that doesn't change. So the content's going to be different on Atziluth, in Bria, in Yetzirah, and Asaya, but it's always going to be that 10 and 22 pattern. And in the Clipoth, it's still going to be that 10 and 22 pattern. Now, all that to say, we can symbolize the paths as the major arcana on the tarot, whether it's Asaya, Yetzirah, or the Clipoth. Same paths, same stuff is going on, but the content changes. So what that means is you can get a book and study the tunnels of Set, and you're still learning about the accurate paths, assuming the author knows what they're talking about. So to wrap up all that, what I'm saying to answer your question is, what I'm presenting is not just Dion Fortune's or Gareth Knight's version of the paths. I'm including the Clipoth and the tunnels of Set with the stuff I'm presenting too. Just as an example, if you want to see what the Jedi version looks like of the paths, you can get a book like The Shining Paths by Dolores Ashcroft Nowicki, excuse me. If you want to know what the Sith side is, you would get that other book I have by Asenath Mason. So instead of the moon card, you'd work with a symbol called Thantifaxith, which is one of the, yeah, but it's the same thing. Just
yeah.
The moon card and Thantifaxith, those are content pieces. The context is Malkuth to Netzach.
Exactly.
I think as well, it's important to know that you know, when you're path working on the tree, you can fall off paths. You can stray off them 22 paths on the front side of the tree and end up on the back side of the tree. You know, you can stray in your path working, in your meditation, and it can flip on you. So it's almost like, you know, you're not necessarily making conscious decisions to say, right, I'm going to start at Malkuth and I'm going to go here, here, and here. You might make a journey across one of their paths and stray in to a different realm, which is Clitophic.
And just like Veronica being able to choose what mango is going to be better than the others, it's going to take a little bit of experience and practice to know if you fell off the path and where you landed.
And I think once, you know, when you become well versed in the correspondences of each of them paths, you know, then you get to know the signs. So you get a particular color coming through. You could say, okay, I thought I was somewhere around heading, you know, sort of a Venusian kind of energy. Whereas actually I'm getting more of a Saturnian energy here based on the color schemes that are coming through to me, based on the iconography, the symbolism, the energy.
Yes. And I'll admit, the paths are not my strong suit. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I do know the Sephiroth, though, and I do know the structure of the tree. And I do know how to work with symbols and patterns and relationships. So I have somewhat of an advantage. I'm not completely butt naked out here. I know somewhat of what I'm doing. But at the same time, I'm learning. This is brand new to me. And what I'm seeing so far is that the lower paths, they are very similar. Very similar. The 32nd, the 31st, the 29th, 30th, and 28th. Basically, all the lower paths that deal with human experience, they're all very similar. And they all seem to have to do with what we've been doing, which is taking a concept and linking it with some type of form. Sorcery, encircling, magic, whatever we want to call it. Those lower paths have to do with that. But there's distinctions on each way. And the more we can learn about these correspondences between the Sephiroth, that's one great way to know where we are with this. Why is this important? Isn't this just like playing a video game or learning a sport? Can you really use this in the real world, or is it just for fun? Well, yeah. There are lessons that come with these paths. There's lessons that affect how you see the world. Being able to see the blueprints of what's happening in your life. If you're able to see, you have more capability of what you can do. Think about it this way. If you don't know how taxes work, right? And say you go to start a business, you might be paying a lot more money than you really have to. But if you know some of the ins and outs of the law, you're probably gonna have a better time and be able to enjoy your experience better. Or somebody might come up to you and say, I'll give you 20 mangoes for $1. If you don't know anything about mangoes, it might be a funky deal.
Clip off, get everybody quiet, don't it? Hey, I just want to add. I've been kind of like doing some extra studying because I've been going through the paths, you know, kind of like the 32 and 29, and I also been going through them on the clipotic side as well. I got this book. I shouldn't say his name, but it's by Thomas Carson. You know the title of that.
Yeah.
And it has the 22 correspondences of the path. But I don't know if anybody ever did a tarot with it, but it's very interesting. I must say, that's all I can really say about it. And I don't know why the hell I keep flipping. You know, when I learn one path, I go to the clipotic side because I don't know. That's just shit I do. I always want. Hell, you want to really walk the middle path, you gotta take into consideration both sides of the tree. I figure. I mean, right?
I think the same way. When I'm doing this path working, I'm simultaneously looking at the clip off too.
Right.
I don't necessarily say that on the live streams because, like, you know. Yeah.
I think we should do a book reading on this one, Trav.
Woo!
Down next year.
Yeah.
Next year. I mean, I'm telling you, man. Once we get the basics of the front side of the tree, might as well dive in.
Yes.
Don't separate the men from the boys. Or, well, whatever. We live in
Ahem. No, I'm kidding.
we live in this new age society, okay. So,
Trying to get me canceled, man.
yeah. Council culture.
Society, women are included.
Yeah, women are included. Hey, speaking about women, that Lilith is a motherfucker on that 29th path on the flip side of the tree.
Yeah.
Man.
And just to be, that's to bring that up, I'm like, holy shit. So more to come on that. I'm just gonna leave that side of the tree alone for now and just sit back and be observant.
So am I correct in assuming that Lilith also represents the moon?
Like
Pretty
most all of the female entities, she represents damn near everything, but she does have a large moon symbology.
Yes. They got her on the moon. They got her on the moon card. Not on the moon card, but they got her on the moon path. 29th path. Which is actually the 19th path in the Clipovic side. It's called Qulify. Qulilfi. I might need to leave this shit alone, man. Yeah, we don't need to wait. I forgot this might be live, man. So we're gonna wait on this. Cause it got a lot of symbols and everything, man, and shit. They kind of like fucking with me just by staring at them.
Man, I keep missing that book whenever it goes, because it's always unavailable.
Yeah, I got it a long time ago. I didn't know what the fuck I got, but when I started this pad working, I started going through it, and now I'm understanding. Cause I didn't understand it at first, but now I'm understanding it by understanding the front side.
What's that book, Alligator?
Can I say it, Trav?
Yes, please.
It's Kabbalah, Clip Off, and Goetic Magic by Thomas Carson.
Oh, I got that.
Yeah. Check it out. Probably sitting up on it like I was, man. You got it and just never looked in it. You probably looked in it, it was just over your head, but start diving into it, man. That shit is heavy.
For all y'all out there who are going to get that book, please let me know when it comes back, because I need one. Don't go buying the last copy and you're not going to read it. Let me know, because I got to have it. I keep missing it.
Man. Shit.
Yeah. Hold on.
If you got that book, turn it to the page.
Yeah, I got that mug.
Yeah, turn to page 166.
166. All right, hold up.
And you'll see it's the path on the back side of the tree.
Quililfi.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Hell yeah.
And then you turn a page over, it got the world card, but it say Limonde.
Yeah, I made it to page 63 in this book. I made it to page 63 in this book. That's where I got it. Where they talk about the kings of Edom.
Right.
Yeah, bro. Hell yeah. Yeah, I got that shit.
Yeah.
So they attribute the world card to the 19th path?
No. They're just on the next page. They just got a different kind of version of the world card, but they call it Limonde.
Yeah, Limonde.
Not really understanding what that means.
I think that's French for the world.
Okay. And
yeah,
that makes slightly different.
Is that associated with the path between Yesod and Malkuth?
No, they just got it on the next page. That's associated with Thanafaxia.
Thanafax.
Yeah, that's the universe card, the world card. And they actually call it the 22 path on the back side of the tree.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, that is. Thanafax is the 32nd path.
Yeah,
you're right. I'm reading it down here. Yeah, it's talking about Thanafax. Yeah.
That's the 32nd path. Yeah, that's the world. It's the same. Yeah. North,
So
south, east,
Shameless.
west. The
I
four.
got
The
a I
four.
got a shameless plug. I have the Pentafax meditation on my YouTube channel. If anyone wants to do that.
Uh-oh.
What in the
From
world?
that book specifically. So
Uh-oh.
So everybody's here secretly Cliffotic here,
yeah.
and I'm just now getting the.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
alligator. If you look at the page you told me to go to 166, you'll see 22nd Pentafax. It says Gamaliel, Lilith,
Right.
the world, the universe. Yeah, Saturn. Yeah, it's associated
Right.
with Saturn. Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
well,
Yeah.
LB.
Yeah,
Everybody's up.
I got a ton of Goetia books though, man. I was on the Goetia before I even jumped on the damn tree.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Now,
I've been on this shit.
Oh, Laura, post the link in the YouTube chat.
oh hell yeah.
All right, you got it. Yeah, I have to say quite embarrassingly that I also was on the clip off before I got onto Kabbalah.
Oh, thank you.
No, not embarrassing. Hell, I think that's how we all, it's spooky, so it attracts us, right?
Yeah, I was like, it has Goetia and Kabbalah. Oh, I'm gonna do this first.
Right.
Yeah.
Bad idea. Well,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
wanted to see some of this again.
yeah.
I like scary movies, so it made sense to me. So and I'm on that whole pain is pleasure thing. I didn't kind of flip the script on the pain is pleasure, pleasure is pain kind of thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, we talked about that, Trav, where I talked about, the line for pain is very, very short because of the human condition. So
Yes.
I flipped that in my mind to where, what somebody would consider pain is actually power to me. You know what I'm saying? So I would be clipotic in my approach, I guess. I'm Sith all the way, man. I don't really think it's too much
Yeah.
what. Yeah.
I was about to say that's some Sith language you speak in there.
Yeah, I'm Sith all the way, bro.
Damn near all the Siths have to endure pain, including losing body parts and whatnot. And it's part of that current. Part of that current. A deep lesson learned, basically.
Right. Play with fire, you get burned. You know what I'm saying? Straight up. And they all get deformed. They all get deformed by that current. You know what I'm saying? It leaves this mark on them.
Yes.
Yeah.
You might get cut in half. You might lose a whole jaw. Maybe
Right.
2 arms and an arm and 2 legs.
But you live.
Right.
You live.
And you damn sure don't forget.
Right. It's a deep samskara, physical scar, but it leaves a really, really deep, like emotional scar on them, and that's what they draw from.
Mm-hmm. Man, listen. Everybody in here is a secret Sith Lord.
Yeah.
That's the point, though, right?
Not me. I'm just a dark magic user.
Right. With a whole ass meditation on Thantifaxis.
Wow.
She's a Dathomir witch.
Oh, okay.
But we could all group together, but we know there can only be 2, master and apprentice.
Oh!
Uh-oh.
Just start and delete what he just said.
Did you just start the quickening? You just started the quickening. I'll see you later.
There can only be one.
I'll see you later, Maestro. Yeah, you started
the
the
last
quickening.
time y'all hear from Maestro.
Yeah.
I'll be coming after you.
I'm gonna be talking with Maestro head on my desk.
Hey guys, it's a belief. It's a belief.
Right.
What if there was another belief?
It was a belief that I'm going to sit on a throne of skulls.
Oh man, that's awesome, man. That's how my mind thinks, though, man. I'm literally get this shit honest.
Yeah. By the way, I got a fancy facts of guided meditation.
Yeah, who has that? I don't know
By the
nobody who has that shit.
just casually, I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Who has that? And
Thought this
all of
was
us gonna
some
be on that
But I'm
shit
not
tonight.
a Sith. But I'm not a
Uh,
Sith.
the reputable Reiki master who has a Thanafaxant fucking meditation. Can't put that
Yeah.
shit together.
I can't even front and say I ain't gonna go look at that shit as soon as I get off here and do that shit.
I know,
Right.
me too, right?
I know 99% of you guys just heard that word for the first time, but hey, since you're learning, I got a whole guided meditation just for you.
Like, wow.
Right, man.
I'm telling you, you can't make this shit up. And also too, as far as the 29th, what's the other path? The judgment path, what number is that?
Judgment's 31.
31. And what's the did you do that one yet? Because you sent me a email, but it never came on.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because I was looking for that and I was like, holy, it went to the 29th path for some reason.
Yeah, I was mistaken. I was just following with the book, and I thought that it would go in order. Actually, it jumps from 32 to 29.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but what's the next one?
I believe the next one is the 30. I think the next one is the 31st.
Okay.
I'll have to look.
Judgment.
Oh yeah, Trav, I came to a revelation following last week's tarot conversation.
Uh-oh.
So if you look at the diagonal paths, those are like, and you said it before with the Fool and the Hermit, but it applies all the way down to that. All the diagonal paths are just emanations of the Fool and the Hermit. Where the Magician becomes the Lovers, becomes Justice, becomes the Devil, and becomes the Sun. And then the Fool becomes Hermit. I don't know.
Emperor,
Fool,
Hermit.
Yeah, Emperor, Hermit, Death, and the Star.
Ooh. Okay. So we could see them both having to cross those three barriers too. The Magus crosses the barrier of the Empress to become the Lovers. Then would have to cross the Strength barrier to become Justice.
Scrimp.
And the Devil. Scrimp. Ooh. I just want to put this out there since we're talking about these paths. I mentioned this before, but I watched the Justice League movie and noticed the mother boxes, right? And their colors. And I made a comment about how the quickest way to get to Kether from Malkuth is following the mother letter paths. Red, Judgment, blue, Hanged Man, then across the Abyss, then the yellow, the Fool. Is it a coincidence that those three mother boxes were those three paths, those three colors, I should say? I think they got the yellow one from the Amazonians, and the red one from the Aquaman folks. Anyways, that movie was highly Kabbalistic. Crazy. I don't think I've seen a more Kabbalistic movie than that. Scrimp.
Was that the 1.5 hour version or the 4 hour one?
The 4 hour version. Gotta make that clear.
Wait, you got time to watch Justice League and you ain't even watch Highlander?
Oh man. If you were given a choice, what would you watch?
I didn't see the new Justice League cut. I mean, I like cheesy cult classic movies, so I would have went with Highlander.
Right on. Came to me in the spirit. Took a while because I was not about to sit down for no 4 hours, but something told me to watch it, and I'm glad I made that agreement. I didn't know anything about it. All I saw was, oh, Darkseid's in this movie. Oh, Laura, you've got a lot more videos than I realized.
You got a lot more videos than you realize.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I go on tangents. But I'm going to be uploading more meditations. That's my next class. I don't know, but I'm still not tech savvy, so I don't know how to split them up into playlists. People just gotta kind of scroll through. I'm sorry.
You gotta do the hard work.
Yeah. No. Figure that out.
Matter of fact, I highly suggest that you do that as soon as possible. So basically, just like I guess we can talk about it later. Sheeta
Laura,
Kasha,
what's your
let's see.
YouTube page? Laura, you hear me?
Laura, Tough Dog's asking you a question.
Oh, yes? What's he saying? Huh? I'm sorry.
What's your YouTube page?
What's my YouTube page?
Yeah.
You type in.
Oh, there, I think I got it. Let's say.
What in the
put it
world?
in the chat.
All this time. I'll paste it here for you, Stuff Dog.
It's yeah. Put it.
All this damn time.
Yeah, sorry. I'm working on customizing it right now, so then I can figure out how to put things into a playlist. So it's not complicated for everybody. Yeah, it's under Alora.
And I typed that in, and they came by me on some crazy shit. I must have typed it in wrong.
Oh, ALORA?
Yeah, they took me to some. You typed it in the search. I don't know. I'm not tech savvy either.
Okay. Let me get you the link.
Now, Trav posted it.
Oh, okay. Cool. Thank you, Trav.
Yes, appreciate it.
Man, who are these people you got in your group, Trav?
I'm trying to figure it out too.
God damn. I've been looking for these type of people, man. Where y'all been? Everybody been on here and wearing their best Sunday dresses, I see. Now we get into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Santa Factor.
Look at it. Bring out one specific demon's name and everything else come out the woodwork.
God damn.
That's funny.
Since we're on the 32nd, when we was on the 32nd path, might as well.
Mm-hmm. I don't mind not being too discreet about the clip off stuff because this stuff, like, you, even if you, it's not about having a book. Like you can't act. It's not activated until you activate it, basically.
So you got scared to get this to lay trail. Say people got to work for this.
This is the type of territory that can't necessarily be given.
It's got its own gatekeepers. We don't got to keep the gate.
Right. It's its own gate.
Right.
But if he's
First listen.
the gatekeeper, if he's the gatekeeper on the front side, I mean, shit. Isn't he the gatekeeper on the front side as well?
You talking about Sandalphon?
No, well, not Sandalphon. Benefax. He's not the gatekeeper on the front side.
Hades is the gatekeeper of the 32nd path, I believe.
Oh, Hades. Okay. We got to connect the correspondence here a little bit more. I got to go do my little research.
Man, I drew that tree. I drew this tree a long time ago and put the Kabbalah on. That's the 32nd path.
There's a website called servantsofthelight.org. I recommend looking that up in a search engine. Put a space and then put the specific tarot card you're looking for. On that website, they'll give out like tons of correspondences. Kabbalistic, they'll give out deities, they'll give out the element, the Hebrew names, all that. So like, for example, I would just search in servantsofthelight.org space the world.
Servants of the light.
In a search engine.
Oh, shit. It's time for me to go. I got some studying to do. Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah, I had put the tree on that joint. Where is it at? I didn't even really know what the hell that I was doing. But I had put all that shit down. I wrote this shit a long time ago. Didn't know what the fuck I was doing though. I knew it would come in handy sooner or later though. But yeah.
Damn. I like this page.
Imagine being so wrapped up in books that you forget the internet is a reliable source of information as well.
Yeah.
Nah, man, my teachers told me that Wikipedia isn't reliable.
Right, it's not a reliable reference. Can't use it on a report.
Everything they got on me is the truth. Except for that one thing. Don't believe that.
I do see some things that are different from what I have learned previously.
Like what?
The Yetziratic text, according to the world path, that's different. Ooh, these are some good deities associated with the path.
Hell yeah.
Very good.
Very good Chinese.
cool beans. You know, somebody could actually take this and make their own little grimoire to help themselves recall this information quicker. I'm just saying.
Oh,
There you go. Like, you don't... It's all here if you want it. If you're ready for it, it's all here. Hikate, on that link that I just posted, if you click on the left, you're going to see a tree of life. If you click on any of the spheres or the paths, you'll get information on those parts. Thank you for sharing this, Maestro.
yes, yes.
Ooh, this is good. Way to stop the live stream. I'm going to be here for a minute.
It gave me extra time to sharpen my sword for the quickening.
Jesus.
Mary and Joseph.
Peter and fucking Paul. God, I ain't got nothing else to say. I might print all this shit out.
Right?
I recommend too getting a cheap tablet for like screenshots and PDFs and stuff like that.
Oh, I'm gonna print all this shit out at work tomorrow. Fuck them motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Color.
Printer to use.
Laser printer. Color.
In color.
Who printed out a Kabbalistic correspondences?
I'm gonna jump on somebody else's computer and do it.
I did that at my old job. That's how I print out Ophil's books and stuff like that. It was all on blue paper. So they would never know.
Fuck, my phone is actually load of books, man. I'm like, what the fuck?
At my job, I remember from back in like 2015, I printed off, what's her name? Blavatsky, the cosmic, the secret doctrine. Man, that thing took like several hundred pages. Several hundred. I didn't get the whole book. Someone was like, who the hell's printing all this shit out?
God damn.
Someone tries to read that for a second too, and it doesn't stop coming out the printer. It's like, what the fuck? You have to read like a good paragraph before they realize the whole book is like that.
Man, that's what I felt when I tried to read it. I thought I was doing something too. Yeah, I got the cosmic doctrine, mystical doctrine, secret doctrine. 5 minutes later, I don't know what the fuck this is.
The cosmic doctrine?
The secret doctrine by Blavatsky.
Oh, man, I got that shit. I've been scared of that book for years, man. Them books. And, I got all three of them. I got both versions, both of those, and I got Isis Unveiled. But yeah, I finally broke down and got them. But I mean, truth be told, I guess it was best that I got them when I did, because now that I read, it's kind of it's a study of everything. You know, like she put it all. A lot of groundwork, a lot of background work for that shit.
Speaking of ISIS, I want to go to Africa and meet this white ISIS.
I would imagine that's interesting.
But you gotta kiss the black one first. It's part of the path working.
Oh, that ain't no problem.
No problem with that. No problem.
Yeah, I've been gave up. Like, fuck it, stretch me all out over that motherfucker. You say you was getting stretched out. Fuck it, stretch me. I done gave up. Like, hey, whatever y'all want to do, let's do it. And I come to find out, you know what I'm saying, when you go into it with that mind state, You really had you get the message. Let's leave it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Get the true message. Yeah, because I've been went up the backside of that tree. I mean, I'm like, shit, the fuck this hell? Hell, I couldn't even get off the ground when Samuel and Lilith was fucking around with me. Shit,
Man.
what is going on here?
Hey, Trav. This is the second time I'm mentioning it. I'm gonna drop it once per year.
Uh-oh.
There was that I have the name saved somewhere in my phone, but it was that meditation you did with Kali to get in the clip off, like that bond meditation. Stiff corpse.
Chode. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes. Did you get out that out of a book or did you make that up?
Uh-oh.
It was a combination. Because the book that I have on Chode meditation, it's not in there. To be quite frank, in the 2015 era, I was trying out a lot of different stuff. I don't know exactly what all the influences were, but recently I found something similar in Yoga Nidra.
Ah, yeah.
There's actually a few people complaining about the fact that he has a meditation of you visualizing your death, because they thought, oh, this is traumatizing and I can't believe he put this in a meditation book and let's cancel him. But I think that the premise is the same. Coming into an actual face-to-face experience with realizing that your body is not the limit of what you are.
They tried to cancel the meditation. They tried to cancel the meditation?
They tried to cancel Swami Satchidananda.
Oh my God.
There's a big campaign to cancel him, for sure.
This shit is fucked up. They canceling gurus in this bitch.
I'm dead serious. I never mention it because I didn't want people to go researching it, but oh yeah, they want Bihar school shut down.
No way.
You say it was in a trap?
Huh?
Didn't you say it was in a trap, Bihar?
Yeah. Well, it was in a trap. What do you mean?
Oh, in the trap.
In the trap.
In the trap? The hell is he talking? What are you talking about?
Culture. There we go. We was talking about that earlier. Cultural motherfucking soliloquies. Is that the word?
Bihar is like kind of ghetto.
Oh yeah. No, he was talking about this chick who's from Bihar. She was talking smack about that school and how like Bihar itself is just really dangerous and it's just super not cool.
Oh, Bihar was the center of arms dealer. Basically,
yeah,
they sold a lot of weapons there.
Yeah, and she's from there, and she's like, dude, it's so dangerous over there. Like, you don't want to go over there. Don't go over there. I'm like, I want to go over there.
Hey, but look at the lotus hidden in the swamp.
Mm-hmm. I was just about to say that. Didn't Jesus go and hang out with the lowest of the low?
Mm-hmm.
Lotus hidden in the swamp.
Oh shit! I'm gonna buy all that shit now.
Satchidananda really got it out the mud.
Yeah.
Straight up.
You're not about to just waltz into Bihar.
They stayed in the hood too, man. They ain't get big and move out. They stayed in the hood. I like that.
Right. Don't sleep on these folks. Don't sleep on these folks.
Hell no, you better not sleep around them either. Just trying to think about that life.
He said don't sleep around.
Hey, Swami. I really like how you meditate.
Creepy ass guru.
Man.
Just think I wanted to go to the Bihar school.
Floating over your ass when you sleep and shit. He's flying over me, motherfuckers.
Jesus.
Bihar surrounded by goons.
Right.
Goons and goonettes.
Thuggies.
Thuggies, yeah, thuggies.
studies.
They walk around with AKs and pistols and RPGs and whatnot.
Oh, if you look at that too, that's Shiva. 'Cause remember he got the ganas?
Yep. Butaganas.
Just meditating, listening to gunshots while you're doing chakra shooting.
Man.
Right.
Oh man.
Major
So-
Sam Star is going on.
Take that and then apply that to your earthly condition for everybody who is still in that type of environment, right? Talking about, oh, I can't meditate because of where I am. Do you realize the people who wrote some of these books are still there? Now, you probably can't hear the gunshots from the top of the Himalayan mountains. But
No,
their
bro, that's
daily-
it's on an open road. There's like videos of people outside of it.
Yeah.
I can't believe this shit. They about that life, huh?
Let me get that Nanda pack.
I'm thinking these the most sacred people in the fucking world. Not knowing I fuck around, go there and get robbed.
Robbed.
You know what I mean? Close my eyes. And, you know, yeah, sit down and meditate right there over there, buddy. And you fucking wake up, all your shit go.
That would be hilarious, man.
Shit when you went
Yeah.
over there. Straight from sugar to
That would be me.
You go over there and get
Go ahead.
you get a deep wisdom lesson, and then before you leave, let me get that watch. What?
Yeah.
Rub me
Annie
them
up.
J's, bro. Rub me them J's, bro.
Annie up.
I can't believe this shit.
I need you to
Right.
run out of your pockets.
I'm just gonna tuck mine in.
You gotta come up there with Rudrox. They ain't gonna mess with you.
Yeah.
Over there getting beat for starter coats.
Damn. I can't believe this shit. I'm gonna have to go verify this shit. Cause the shit they've been putting in these books, man, this shit is unbelievable, man. These people can't be fucking tainted like that.
I didn't say they were involved. I'm just saying that the area that they live in.
The area, I mean, still. They got to be involved. Shit, this shit too powerful. They got to be running the whole area. They can do a fucking mantra to change the whole fucking goddamn universe.
Motherfucking crime lords over there. But they
Yeah.
because they can't. They don't
I
give
mean,
a
you
fuck.
gotta think though, they can't have no weak ass, lackadaisical ass area. You know, people would have been rushed up in there, took their shit, and took all they goddamn mala beads. So they gotta keep it gangster, you know. Come on, run up on us if you want to. Just speak softly and carry a big stick.
Protection on that bitch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
speak softly and carry a big stick, motherfucker. Yeah.
Whoop your ass with these maracas.
This shit, yeah. And I got that Yoga Nidra book. I never opened that motherfucker up. Yeah.
Getting choked out by Rudrakash.
Run me those Rudrox.
Yeah. Damn. I'm glad to know this shit because I damn sure wanted to go there.
You gotta go there on your you gotta go there on your Durga. That's how you gotta get there. You have to be chanting the Durga mantras and look forward.
Yeah, don't have to. I might need
Repeat that for me.
Same energy you need to go to New York.
Mm.
Yeah. I have to use that Cali over there.
They ain't playing in that motherfucking Bihar, boy.
Yeah.
There's a Vice interview of a American girl who wanted to go to Bihar for her birthday, but they wouldn't let her in, and she got very upset about that.
Wow. Why wouldn't they let her in? Did they say why they didn't let her in?
Because she was with Vice, and they don't really like reporters. Mainly because a lot of the drama they had around Satyananda, they don't really like to talk to American reporters.
Of course.
You probably want to try to cancel that.
Now she is.
But they let Michael Ford and Azaroth Mason up in there.
Really?
Got to read on books.
I'm sure they came a little bit more prepared than saying, "Hi, I'm with Vice and it's my birthday. Can I come see?" No. No, Crystal Karen.
No.
There was also a scandal in Australia, like one of the BR branches. That was like a big taint on their public image as well.
Right.
I talked to I was talking to my friend who's over in or she's not really my friend. She's this girl that lives in Bahar. She was like, you could get in there really easy. They like white people. I'm like, oh God. I was like, that's
You're gonna pass up the opportunity?
no, man. No, right? Yeah, I'll give that. Be like, look, this is my friend. Just sneak homeboy in. I'll be like, bye.
They like white
Hey,
people.
Big Nanda.
It's not so cool, but that's according to her perception. Who knows if that's really how it is? If homegirl from Vice couldn't get in to say hello, who's to say that any American is gonna have a super easy time?
In the chat, Donnie Darko says, "You so deep in meditation, you don't feel them going through your pockets." We're lifting you of your attachments. Open your eyes. Yo, dead set. Give me all of that.
I need all that shit.
Read it.
See Vananda's pictures.
I like the I think you need to do guided meditations for the whole Dharana Darshan book after that new module. So I was getting into it and I was like, damn, bro, I've been putting off a job for so long. But
they have that on YouTube. They have Swami leading that.
Yeah, but like the steps 1 through 10, I know he does step 1.
I thought he did all of them. I thought it was the whole thing he has.
Trav, you need to get that guided meditations of 1 through 10, a job. That's about to be a hit.
So I included that because that's that's the meditation that I naturally went into when trying to do a lot of this time travel work. And in doing it repeatedly, I started to find that personally, going into that level of trance makes it easier for me to not only do this path working, but also start to analyze different aspects of my memory. So the guided meditation I did there is like just the plain version, but I'm going to expand on it at least 2 more times. But instead of just jumping to that, I want people to like get used to doing it that way first and gradually build. Because like with me, when I do it, there's a lot of things going on. And I know that I can't just throw that on somebody at once. So do your so-hum, and then also think about your chakras, and then also think about this, and also think about that, and then hold the image, and now think about the tarot card, and then go back to that time period where...
Is that your Russell Brunson impersonation?
Yeah. All right, y'all, I got to get going for the night. But thank you very much for the wonderful conversations and insights. I got many cool notes. And much love to everyone. I'll talk to you all later.
All right, Alora. Enjoy your evening. Thanks for being.
Thank you. You too, man. Bye, guys.
Peace.
I'm a gracefully bow out too. But I appreciate it.
in May. Y'all rest in power.
Rest in power, my friend. Thank you for being as well.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got to go ahead and do this satisfaction meditation before I go to sleep.
Yeah. I'm gonna look into that, and I'm gonna look into this website that Maestro just dropped. A lot of good stuff.
Right. Oh, I wait till I get to work tomorrow. I gotta get up at 4:00, man. So I'm piecing out too.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, man. I appreciate the knowledge, man.
I appreciate you. Thank you for being. For
All
real,
right.
man. For real. What an impact. What an influence.
Man, what an
Yes.
influence, man. You guys, man, the correspondences, man. Oh my God. Appreciate it, man. I'll
Appreciate
take it
you.
easy. Peace out, brother.
Peace.
Peace, Gary.
Peace, guys. I'm just checking in with you guys.
Peace aside, Ejects.
What's up? What's up?
Peace, bro.
A lot of good stuff, man. We're really diving in. Like, I love the fact that it didn't like slow down. This is like a steady ramping up. Like every week, every month, it's a steady growth. You can track it if you're paying attention.
I think Maestro brought it full circle again back to the lineage there with Servants of the Light website, because of course it's Butler and the wiki that's behind that site.
Man. That's right.
Yeah, the inner light became the servants of the light.
I knew that name sounded familiar. Oh boy.
Yeah, this week's module, Travis, the memory module, it's something else. Something else. Thank you for all the hard work you put into that, because it's poignant.
I was telling Alora that I was debating putting some of this stuff out because I felt like it might have been too much. Like, I really don't like the idea of, I guess, losing people if it's my fault. So it's like, I was going through a period of trying to maybe water it down. But then she's like, no, just put it out. if people get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't. So yeah, it's good to hear that it's received well.
Yeah, it feels like it's gathered all past teachings into it's lassoed everything in a way. Now it's really helped to connect everything else up.
Doing that might actually help some people gain that spark we were talking about earlier, actually. Just that challenge itself. Because whether you don't get it now, you keep reading and studying, trying to practice. Like, there's stuff I didn't understand 2 years ago that I got a good grasp over now. So, hey.
True. Just do what you came here to do, and don't worry about none of that other shit.
I'm going to sign off. Thanks for the session, everybody. Great to catch back up again. See you all soon.
All right, Andy. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for being.
Peace, man.
Peace, everyone. See you later.
Peace.
Later.
All right, my friends. I think that this is a good time to return into the world and do our thing.
Alrighty, man. Y'all take care. I'll see y'all next week.
All right.
Peace out, fellas.
Peace, peace. Thank y'all for being.
Night, night.
Good night. Good night. Have a wonderful day. All right. Keep on your studies. Keep it going. Don't stop. As if you could stop. Keep your state high. Keep your state high. Y'all have a good night. This is TK Trav, aka Travis Magus, here with LVX 777. I love you guys. Peace.